nationwide amplifying their voices on a global stage. Abateeseteese omukolo guno babayita Ugatunes. Cash for every tune. What are just their tagline, cash for every tune. Anything that concerns money, me and you, Sayochi, Moyo. So the question should be, how are they going to cash us? That's one of the questions. But of course, you can tell you where you come. We have other partners. We have the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. We have the Uganda Communications Commission. We have the Microfinance Support Center. We have Afro Mobile. And lastly, Uganda Revenue Authority. So Menamina that have made this possible, thank you, thank you, thank you. The program is going to be very swift. We are going to have two panel discussions. One from the artists themselves and the creatives, not just artists, creatives. Creative is a very big thing. Now probably we're talking about creatives about even the best or some mass. Then that the creative sector is very, very wide. And many times when you say creatives, what it is not an artist, people ask, what song did you sing? Personally, I do graphics and animation. I do posters, banners, adverts, commercials, all of these. That falls in creative arts. That is creative arts. The guy that cut your hair, the barber, that is creative arts. The people that design our clothes, creative arts. The artist, the songwriter, the producer. There's so many things in that sector of creative arts. And if government is sponsoring things like this, or agencies of government are sponsoring maybe conversations around creative arts, it's a good indicator that they actually realize this has potential. Because the challenge should have been, a big chunk of young people that we have in this country, according to Mastercard Foundation, 74% Baba was a career as the mother of Kuala. And creative arts was very big. So, if this sector is given extra attention, but not just attention, we want creatives to turn that talent into money. So that's the main reason why we are here. That's the reason why Ugatunes organized this. And today they will be unveiling some products for us. Products together kubera satu. Zonna ngeri ki tuyinza okufunamu sente. So I want to once again welcome all of you in your capacities. I want to mention them. Because creatives were mentioning all of us. Somebody will stand on top. So ladies and gentlemen, let's start our panel discussion today. I would like to invite a songwriter. She's female. It's actually Women's Day. We are celebrating women. And so it's by design that she is on this panel. She's made down some of the biggest hit songs in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Sheena Skies. Sheena is a very quiet person, but when she writes, she's super talented. She'll give you a profile of some of the songs that she has been a part of. The other person is the president of the Gospel Musicians, the Tebe Yobali Bajigwanira, Wesley Yajikuti. So Wesley is the one in charge of all the gospel artists in this country. And of course, he's also part of our panel discussion. You must welcome. The next person has been very critical when it comes to events like this that build capacity for our creatives, for our artists. He's very passionate when it comes to Ugandan music. He's also a critic at the same time, but he's also very informed. That's my friend Jeff Spoker. Atena ye muntu atukolera eri mu Spotify ddala ddala eri minor issues or questions regarding the platform, he will be able to give you that information. I'll tell you creative way about the code. The last person with one microphone while you get Tamala. Tamala, but he's very, very passionate about Ugandan music. He is a producer, very, very talented at the same time. Naive artist at the same time. I need a new band, I call it the Ugandan artist, I call it the Nigerian artist, different markets. Ata zinga young panel zinja uronga yogera is on this Patagani art on TV, online, and all those other platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, for the one Daddy Andre. And so those are the people that are going to form our very first panel. The formula will be, I'll be asking some questions, and it is going to be highly interactive. And then also the members of the audience will be able to interject and also fill in their questions. So I'm going to start with a little brief in just seconds from each of the panelists, starting with King Wesley, for purposes of people who may not really understand your scope of work.
Praise the Lord Jesus. I'm a born-again Christian, but also I am the president of the Federation of Gospel Artists in Uganda. It's been around for 8 years. Then also I do quite a lot of things. I'm a radio host, daily radio host for the last 15 years. Been on the microphone for the last 21 years. I work and manage Spirit Media Group, Spirit TV and Spirit FM. So I'm honored to be here. All my life it's been gospel and always gospel and only gospel. So yeah, thank you. Please clap for me.
Okay, before Sheena comes in, for purposes of photography, kindly, I would request that we all take up the seat that is in front of you, so that we can cover the front spaces. It just doesn't look good if we start, we are live, and the spaces are empty. I know it's hard to sit in front, especially in school if you are sitting behind. But in life, it's actually a principle of confidence. When you go to an event, an occasion, always sit at the front, at least bakujeo. Then go to deo. It's a form of confidence, yeah? I'll invite my girls, the Warafiki, to take up the very front seats. You can't put beauty behind those things. You need what? Yes, Shida Skies.
Assalamu alaikum. How are y'all doing? My name is Shida Skies Namagambe. I'm a singer-songwriter. Yeah. Is there more that you need to know?
Oluzungurero. Kati James Proper. Gata wao mpulire.
Kati roza tenzes. Jamu Uganda. Hi everyone. I'm so glad to see that we have things like this happening in our industry. My name is James Proper. I am very passionate about Ugandan music. I live at the intersection of music, media, and computing. Currently, I am the Artist and Label Partnerships Manager, Sub-Saharan Africa for Christian and Gospel Music at Spotify Africa. My background is media, it's Ugatunes, it's digital music. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll pass the mic over to Daddy Andre.
Njebaleko Mukama yebazibwe Yesu Kristo. Assalamu alaikum. Mwebale kucha. Amanya eddoboozi bampita Andrew. Ery'ekika Ojambo. Lirya jjajja. Ery'okuyimba bampita Andre Daddy. Eryokuwandiika ennyimba nze Andre UG. Oba oyagala kunfunamu ngoma nsangewo Andre on the beat. Studio nkola mu 1-2. Company waliwo Daddy Records zisayininga abayimbi. Kale n'okusomesa nkwagala nnyo, nsomesa n'ebitankwatako. Naye njagala nnyo music we Uganda abeere nga naffe obusajja obulinnyonnyi ne bujja wano nga bututya. So I'm sorry to speak in Uganda, but there are some traditional words that can't be understood by these people in Uganda. They are big-headed like me. That's why I'm speaking Uganda. But Douglas, my name is still Daddy Andre, and everyone, I love you.
Thank you so much, Andre. I'm going to invite Sarah from Mudundo to also take up that seat. We've actually worked a lot with her. We at Purpose Skills Training Foundation, we've been doing workshops like this to skill creatives. James Proper also did the same with Spotify. And Sarah and my other friends have also been very good partners when it comes to building capacity for creatives. So Sarah, please come through. And we're going to start this by question number 1 to Wesley. What role do you think the government and the private sector can play in supporting digital content distribution?
What role do I think the government should do? I think, first and foremost, it is a big surprise that I'm here, but it is awesome. What role? I think first and foremost, the government needs to make sure that the internet penetration is big. Because if you're talking digital, there is no digital without, internet. That's for a fact. So now, if you look at the infrastructure that is available for internet is still lacking, but also internet in Uganda is very, very expensive. So that actually constitutes a space where you see one of the biggest artists in the land, the trending songs of the land, with very, very, very small, views and followers. And then these, what would you would expect to, have a huge following, let's say. And yet digital music online is ideally about the followership, the views, and all of things. So that's where the money is. So now the government needs to get back, look into our service provider. I'm very excited that actually now we have very many service providers of internet. So the competition is going to be very stiff now. The more the competition is up there, the more now internet becomes a little bit cheaper. So really internet penetration should definitely be done. And also the tariffs that are put on phones. Because again, digital goes with phones, So you find it's very expensive for someone to acquire a phone. Leave only people who are in this room. But the phone you're holding, egula kabanja, egula kabanja ketaka, school fees wa mwana just one term, or so it's very, very expensive to acquire actually a smartphone that can actually hold apps. You understand, that can do music. So if you imagine there are people who have apps that use WhatsApp, but they keep formatting that WhatsApp app all the time because it is full. So the phones needs to be very affordable for the public to be able to, now get onto the internet space and look into the music bit of it. So really, the government needs to look into those policies in terms of digital. Before we even go into the copyright and all those things, but now the fact that actually people can acquire phones cheaply and also do then the internet penetration as well. So the good thing is also the Starlink is actually coming up. So the good thing, Starlink is also coming in, and the phones are going to be really, really, really cheaper. So now the government really needs to look into that, really.
Thank you so much. I'm going to first skip Sheena, go to James Proper. James Proper, I want you very good at demystifying very hard themes like this. Kindly break down for us what digital distribution actually is in the simplest terms.
Okay, what digital distribution is, you have a song, Andre has recorded a song, and you need to get that song out to the customers. So to get that song out to the customers, for other products it would be, for example, if it's cooking oil, you need to put it in the shelves in the supermarket. So the supermarket for music is digital streaming apps or digital streaming services. Some of these include Spotify, Apple Music, Boomplay, Dundo. Now also Ugatunes is coming into that space. And the way it works is very simple. When Andre has done the song, Sheena is the writer, Wesley is the artist. Okay, so what happens is Andre, the producer, and Sheena, the songwriter, producer or writer. So what happens is, no, they stay with what is called mechanical rights. Then they give the artist the MP3 or wave file. Wave file okutwala mu supermarket ezo. Naye era okugitwalayo tekitegeeza nti ate rights era ayambako ne bano collecting rights royalties zaabwe. But what happens is, bw'amala okufuna oluyimba olwo agenda eri gwe bayita distributor. From the top tulinayo companies Satu, Universal, Sony and Warner. Mu lulimi lwa music tuziyita major labels. Then waliwo ze bayita batya sero nyambako, waliwo companies entono nazo ezikola distribution ezosobola okuyitiramu era okutuusa music wo mu music stores ezo kuli Spotify, Apple Music naki. So abasinga mu Uganda ndowooza bakozesa TuneCore, abalala bakozesa DistroKid, abalala bakozesa CD Baby, bye tusinga okubeera aware of. Naye kyemanya wamukumwe nambaddeko ne conversations ne company nga 1RPM. Some of you have talked to the Orchard. I know some artists go through Ziki Media, others go through Empire. Era Nigeria basinga bakola obulungi ennaku zino bakolera mu Empire. So oluyimba Wesley bw'alukwata n'aluwa distributor we, either through uploading it online oba n'alumuweereza. Distributor oyo akozesa kye tuyita pipe. Oluyimba olwo aluteeka on this side of the pipe. Kati oluyimba olwo ne ludistributinga to the tributaries ez'enjawulo. Akola distribution yemu oluyimba ne lugenda ku Spotify, ne lugenda ku Apple Music, ne lugenda ku Boomplay, ne lugenda ku Audiomack, ne lugenda ne ku streaming services endala ndowooza ziringa 3. So kati wakati awo oluyimba lutuuka eri omuntu n'asobola okululaba ku ssimu ye, n'asobola okulustreaming oba okuluwuliriza. Ekyo in nutshell kyebayita distribution. Then bw'amala okuluwuliriza era streaming service n'ebala revenue we oba sente z'akoze neziweereza distributor we, of which distributor alina okumusasula. Naye distributor ng'asasula waliwo sente zeba withholding nga eza songwriter ne producer. Ensonga lwaki? Because bano badde nsobola skipping songwriter ne producer because yembeera mu Uganda mwe tukolera. Naye ate bwe tubanga tugenda kutereeza ebintu, ndowooza buli conversation gye twogerako eyo okutambuza music nabo tulina okuba involvingamu. So bwe distributor waba akuwa ssente, there is money that is withheld, mechanical rights, ne ba CMOs nga UPRS nabo balina ze bajjako. That is why it is important okubanga ono n'oli bwe babeera mu studio basayinga gye tuyita split sheet. Kati part of the distribution money bana babiri royalties ezo balina kuzijjayo ate nga bakozesa gwe bayita publisher. So it is a very complex situation. Naye ng'ekisinga obukulu oluyimba lwa distributor distributing nga ne lugenda ku DSPs zonna oba digital streaming platforms. Naye kati of course waliwo ne ba do it yourself platforms nga Mudundo, which are also distribution companies for Africa, because problems za Africa tetusobola kuzisolvinga nga America. Okiraba nti for example Spotify yinza okuba ine essimu zetakyatuulako naye ate osobola okuaccessinga Mudundo via a URL. So kati oyo naye oba olina okumuwa waliyo how busy waliyo. So it's a very complex situation.
I feel it's still very, very complex to explain it to a young upcoming artist who is, let's say, in at the border of Uganda, and because some of these things have too much English.
Let me know. Just
simplicity.
Yeah, simplicity. The word digital. I won't explain all the activities that happen when it comes to it's making. The word digital, just tukitwale mu mwoyo nti digital is the simplicity, this is how it is. Oluyimba ndutunze ku ground lutuuse NBS lukubye biki mu bikubye lukuba abadijje balwina Douglas alwogerako kiba kitegeeza ku ground UPRS ejja kumanya byekolekitiza si bwe kiri eyo society. Then when it comes to digital nti nina okusasulwa akasente kange nga kali mu digits nti platform yonna distributor gwe tukozesezza sente zirina okugira mu digits buli tetumanyi oba bagenda streamingira mmeka buli nsi erina etteeka lyalyo play nga bwogenda okola wali abagenda oduviwinga akatono wali abagenda okululaba obulabi akalango baleke luyitewo lubeere nga luli sponsored. So that is the digital nti ekintu okirabira mu digits n'ogenda buli kimu kyokola digits. Let me write something nokola TS so it comes on your platform neruja n'okusasulwa sente zigenda kujja bakujjeko wano mu digit either mu data kugamba it is digital. Omulembe nti nze tozze kungula lively nga bano badagamba mechanical, tulina mechanical rights. Yes, si ebyasedde biki kati ebyo biri physical. Yeah, then kiri ekya digital nti mudiringira mu mpewo just network. That's a simple thing omuntu okukitegeera. Kati ebya activities ebifaayo nze sijja balimba buli omining gyakolamu ekintu kye abasigninga spreadsheets zibeeranga just omuntu okulaga evidence oba exhibit nti nomwakanya ne partners bonna bwemwakolera bwemwasooka okukwatagana nogasooka kati bwembinyonnyola temujja bitegeera.
Thank you.
Yeah, just kyekyo digital kyekyo tekirina bingi.
Okay. So, I'm going to pass the mic back to Sheena Skies.
Then Douglas, I'm sorry kusaba ekirimi. Management. Bamanager balina okumanya ennyo bino ebintu. Mpozi ng'omuyimbi osazeewo ogenda okubiyiga for your future use as a manager. But abayimbi tulwanya advice ba concentrating ennyo ku kuyimba kozi bino ebintu oba tewabiyiga ng'oli muto oba olina ogenda n'osoma nnyo. That's why nze nkaayana nnyo nabo ate nga tebaagala kukkiriza. Ffe twasalawo tubeereko abantu ba business developer. So any musician tulina kumanya bino ebintu bijja kuluma emitwerekera value chains endala nazo zibeere nga zifuna ku mirimu mugabane bulungi akantu kano.
I don't think everyone will concur with you, Cameron.
No, I'm just advising the truth because a brand artist has to remain beautiful like them. They come and be told by the management.
Should artists really know all these details?
Nanti ensonga lwaki mujjakaaya na buli ddakiika. Let me tell you something. Technically, Douglas, technically, do you know why you trust this man to tell you something? Because it's his job. These are value chains. We have musicians who are not supposed to be singing. Ne bagezaako ne bigaana ne babeera barapa ne bayitamu. I'm telling you, everyone has a omuyimbi. Get managers, and what we have to complain about now, as like you see the Ugatunes, tulina Ugatunes esobola okujja ne kugamba who is behind you. Because omuyimbi agenda kujja obwomu musayininga akayimba bambi sente zibeere ng'ezijja ate zigaane ate mutandika omufunira manager obeere nga events biki okitegeera. So
I wanted this session to be very, very interactive.
Me too.
So let's see you two. So let's just hear the voices from some artists. Is it important for us to know these things? Or to be the manager, record label, and all those other institutions?
Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura. My voice is very low, but I know you understand. Daddy Andre, I disagree totally, because we've followed very big artists, Abayimba Kedda, the Angie Stones of this world, but Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Oshegera. Some of these things they will together in time. So after they sang for a certain period of time, now when they try to understand what digital distribution is, who distributed their music where and how, their money was already taken from them. And some of them passed on without earning because they couldn't sing on stages anymore. So it's very important for an artist to know and understand. But assign people to help them run these things, but that knowledge is important.
Thank you so much, Atiang Laura, right there. Let me go to Sheena Skies. Sheena Skies.
Hi.
Why is it increasingly difficult for songwriters to have a discussion with the artist on the split sheet that actually a songwriter is also supposed to receive a bit of revenue? That sound doesn't seem like Proper says, it's a conversation we are trying to bring to the forefront. Why is it very, very difficult for an artist to believe that actually a songwriter is also part of the owners of the music?
It's very funny because you're putting the cart before the horse. The songwriter actually owns the song, and they only give you the right to sing their song. But we have a lot of power games here. But because the artist is bigger, they obviously have money and they have more fame. So they balina amaanyi mangi okusinga omuwandiisi wadde gwenyini luyimba. So bakozesaamu ekibuli. So because they know you need the money that you do need right now, they'll take the conversation out of the box. Either you take the money, or there's no conversation here. So I think that's it. It's just we need to come to a place where everybody knows buli omu azze kulimba wano guitarist. So we just need to respect each other as creatives and be able to have these conversations, also have them before we actually do the music, because the problem is and then it becomes huge and then they give you 1 million and you know.
I think the challenge is the way to the songwriter is the actual owner of the song.
Yes,
that can't resonate very well with an artist.
I'm
trying for you to say Chameleon song, imagine it was written by Sheena Skies, Ngomugamba, you're the owner.
I am. I would be the owner if I wrote a Chameleon song. Remix. In proper rights, that is how it should be. But you know, yeah, we're in Uganda, we're catching up.
Okay. All right. Just briefly, then I can go to Sarah.
I think the biggest reason is that we need to be very, very straightforward with is the fact that there's not been a clear way of monetization when it comes to songs. Then the other thing is that writers have. So now, owandiika oluyimba gwe weeguya n'omuyimbi n'omugamba wandiimbe bambi wandiimbe n'okamuwa nkitegedde naye n'ayimba ng'akuyamba kuyimba luyimba lwo. Now the issue is this. I think from the word go it should be before you even n'ogamba oluliddemu oluyimba olwagadde. Now the rules of engagement would be I have rights to the song. I think the biggest issue is they focus more on payments. Nti kati mpa miliyoni yange emu oba miliyoni 2 kati yaba amanya akuguza akuggyemu kubanga akusasudde kyekimu ne producer kyebakola nagala producer ne namukoze eki namusasudde ne mujjamu. But if in the beginning you say, okay, you're singing, my contribution here is this, your contribution here is this, and then there is a proper way of actual monetization. Nebo tunulira tewali proper way of monetization they will be distributed omuyimbi yafuna. Wogendera bya distribution bya publisher byazikimayo bikyebyo abantu tebabimanyi nkitegeera. So now it is the fact that nti abawandiisi baavu proper way of distribution nayo teriiwo. Kuboli ba distributing oluyimba tagenda kumentioninga nti no gwe writer. Then kati nayo jukira toyinayo na account to biri awo volongoto mungi. So I think in the beginning nga lutandikira ddala ne musigninga split sheet. Yes.
People and artists are not going to sign split sheets unless the law forces them to. Artists will never sign split sheets unless the copyright law forces them to. I listened to the president of the Federation of Artists and he's saying for the backlog of content abadde omukadde atalina split sheets mukigenda kudipendinga ku ngeri gye mwakwataganamu. Then it should be very simple. Then it should be a 50-50 split for all previous content. Yes. Okiraba era kyova olaba abakulu abatulaba ba ICT ne UCC mulina okutuyambako. Baartists baagala okukuumira abayimbi writers ne producers mu dark because they can go. When you go to ASCAP and search some of these top artists, they've registered their songs and registered themselves as the songwriter, as the producer. You get? So unless the new copyright law that you're bringing back to Parliament for discussion has that part that forces that the new systems that you're building, copyright registration system, whatever, unless it forces that no radio station is going to play a song unless there is a split sheet on file.
Thank you so much, Papa. Let's pass the mic to Sarah. Sarah, what are the most effective ways Ugandan creatives can grow their audience beyond local fans and also reach a global market using the digital platforms?
Sorry, repeat that again.
What are the most effective ways Ugandan creatives can grow their audience beyond the local fans and reach a global market?
Thank you so much. Hi, I am Sarah and I work with Mudundo.com. So as part of the things that we've been doing, let me speak on a Mudundo perspective, is collaborations. When you collaborate with an artist that is not in your same locality, say you're Ugandan, you collaborate with an artist in Kenya, you're able to also reach out to that Kenyan audience. You get it? But all this comes back to you as an artist. How do you portray your brand? Your brand needs to be a better representative of you in that. Let's say, for example, let's say 50,000 followers on Instagram, and you want to collaborate with Omuyimbi, Ali Kenya, atono Omuyimbi aina, say 100,000, ayinza obutakiriza kubanga alaba nti bafunamu, ye abagwo mufunamu, ye tafunamu. So at least brand yourself better to see that when you reach out to Zuchu, she is going to be excited to collaborate with you. And you're actually speaking sense to them. You know, Boveranga, the numbers don't add up. At least have a wise or bright manager that knows how to play well with their words to ensure that this 50K that you have does not matter. What you're bringing on the table beyond the 50K is what is going to make sense to the person you want to collaborate with. So do not confine yourself to only the Ugandan audience. You can look at your statistics. Where are people streaming your music from? If you have more audience beyond Uganda and people are streaming your music in Nigeria, seek out and see which artist you can work with, which artist has the same vision like you do. At Mudundo, there is something we do that we call East Meets West, where an artist from West Africa is brought on to collaborate with an artist in East Africa, and then we see through this process to ensure that the collaborations are effective and the music is released and promoted in both regions. But all this depends on how you brand yourself as an artist and what value you add into the other artists. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One last thing, Sarah. Nalavie a poster, I think the Kenyans are doing a campaign. Bien, I think his numbers are a bit low. The Makola drive that Bagalogaf Nemo follows. Pardon? 1 million. What could be the challenge? Because when again you come to Uganda, if you look at how many artists have 1 million followers here, they are Batono. Obviously, the East Africans or the Africans don't want to follow their artists, or there is a challenge in there. Why would Kenyans do a campaign to get Bien to 1 million followers as a campaign?
First of all, the digital spaces are really tricky. So, Bien was originally under Soul. So if you look at the Soul generation or the Soul as a group, they have more numbers. So this was an individual brand. He is a great artist. So the industry or the fans are just getting together to portray or to put him up on the map to show that, hey, we have an artist in Kenya and he is dope, because Bien is doing really well. I think he has collaborations in Ghana and some in Nigeria and all that. So they are trying to come together to uplift a talent that they are all believing in. But it comes from a point that he is now a solo artist. He is no longer under a group. Okay. So he is still building the numbers to get where he's supposed to be. And lucky enough for him, he is having the backup and support of his fans.
Thank you so much. I want to pass the mic to the audience, to Shadrach specifically. Shadrach, omusajja legendary. Talents nyingi nnyo yateekako ettaffaali. But I want to ask him, as honestly speaking, Shadrach, ennaku zino oli mulokole.
Amina.
Keko, Don MC, ani omulala bali awo. GNL Zamba, do you get any royalties from the music you participated and contributed to the creation?
No, I don't. Eh? No, I don't.
What could be the problem?
Again, I think it's the issue of the cooperative cost, that's number one. But again, for me, even the contracts we didn't really pay attention to them. To be honest with you, for me, I was driven by the fact that I love to do music. I'm passionate about it. I want to help talent grow. So I never paid attention to whether I'm going to make money in it or not. Even afterwards, I didn't really pursue that, you know. So, but I mean, when systems are working, maybe everything's structured now, like honestly, it would be nice that I can get what I have to get. Nezi search for konyo, kwa chinali konyo, kupushinga muziki.
So Shadrach, what do you think of what James Roper highlighted earlier on?
Yeah.
When we have this law in place, do you want to get those royalties, or where to get them as?
It will be nice. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
I get it. Yes, Ra. Let me pass the mic to Ra. Oh, sorry.
Yes, thank you very much, Douglas, and everyone. Njagade, just to start from where Shadrach stopped, it's a very, very good opportunity to have you in the house, because yasobola tubuuliranga wekyali from way back, and straight to my brother Proper's point, nti old catalogs zino. I also heard what the Federation President said, but I think there was some unclarity there. I think the point is that these old catalogs in the Shadrach's times can come back to life. So the issue is going to be the compliance of both parties, both the record label owners and then the artists who are on these songs. And also that since we know that we are into digital transformation and all this, the quality before may not compete favorably in this generation. So when you hear Busy Signal doing songs of the previous artists, American artists like Laura was saying, those problems were also there. So when you see Busy Signal doing those things, that's how they regain what they had lost before. It would simply mean Shadrach ajakwata nyimba ze yalina before agambe yo fefe busi kola woti chite, then you have a new split sheets. So just to conclude, my other point was about the split sheets. I think for us artists and creators to understand this properly, a split sheet should be considered as either a transcript or a land title. That as much as you have these things, you've paid studio time, you own the music, you've signed split sheet and what, they are still properties that can be revisited, and they are not owned by either the creator or the promoter. Nti newoba nga wamala dde okusomako wasasula fees wakola ki, woba ogenda kwesimbawo bagamba ddayo wa ku university. That's how the split sheet should be looked at. Nti mwina erangos go back to Uganda Lands Board. So this split sheet must have a regulatory body enaaba nga yegifulumiza. So sigamba nti every studio, buli producer kola kyoyagala biki biki. I think that's where we should be looking at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ra. One last one.
Mwanansi ngenda kwogera Luganda kubanga olugendo lwa music na twogerako music enabadde wa Luganda. Era omusingi gwa music gwonna gwa Luganda. N'ennyimba zabasinga ofulumya za Luganda. Bwabuzibu bannayuganda bwe tulina. Oluzungu lwandibadde lutono. Ekisookera ddala, omusingi gwa music gwonna gwe twogera kwe tulwanya gwa Luganda. Swekiri nze Brian Kibenzi ndi muyimbi mwandiisi wa nnyimba. Kisookera ddala mwatuvuzeemu supiidi mutya. Twaze wali Ugatunes nkiraba era nsimanyi oba distributor obaani temwatunyonyodde Ugatunes be baani.
Kijja maaso awo.
Kirungi kiba kijja. Kyembadde nsaba kye mwayogeddeko wali nti waliwo omukulu kyeyogeddeko James Roper n'agamba nti endagaano baba bagikoze oba iteekero bwe balifulumya. Kyembadde nsaba amakulu agandibadde amatuufu gali nti etteeka bwe balifulumya ne miziki yakolebwa emabega baddamu ne babiwandiika buto ne baddamu ne bakkiriziganya buto kubanga etteeka libateeka kyova olaba oluusi basobola okugamba nti twale embeera yakyuka ne bagamba endagamuntu tugireese era ffenna baatuyita mujje mukole eki mujje mwewandiise obuzibu bubeeraki okuddamu otereeza enkalala zaffe ezaabiri ebyayita ze sikirabamu buzibu etteeka libateeka etteeka erifuluma leero ne bagamba nti kati abaali luli katugeze nti omuntu nga tolina bbaluwa obufumbo buba tetububala kitegeeza n'abaali bafumbirwa biri ebya kalica balina okujja ne bakola ki ne bafuna ebbaluwa so kyenze kisobola okwogerako ekyo mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala
Mwebale nnyo olwalire ddala.
Thank you, Douglas. My name is Gilbert Setuma, a lawyer majoring in entertainment law. I would just like to add or differ with everyone else that spoke before on something, but based on the legal perspective. First of all, I hate to break your hearts, but as songwriters, artist managers, producers who had done work before, this law is going to pass. Your remedy doesn't lie in the law that is going to be passed. I don't know when it might be this year or next year, but it's just a basic principle of law that laws don't work in retrospect. If a law is passed today that is illegal...
Retrospect.
Okay, I'm going to explain, but let me just put it the way it is legally. Laws don't work retrospectively, which means that if a law is passed today, that putting on blue jackets like mine is illegal, and you bring up a picture of me putting on this jacket, say from yesterday, I'm not at fault. You can't take me to court and say that this person has broken a law that was passed today, but he put on the suit yesterday. Mu Uganda, nti oba eseteeka leero nga ligamba nti okwambala amakooti ga blue, oba etteeka ne baliyisa enkya, nti okwambala amakooti ga blue kiwereddwa era ojja kusiba omwaka gumu. N'oleeta ekifaananyi nga nyambadde ekooti eno olwaleero, nti bayisiza etteeka bagaana amakooti ga blue, naye ng'ekifaananyi ky'oleeta kyaggulo. Mbasirina musango mu butuufu. Okomawo ewaka, what they just said is that they would wish for the old catalogues and the split sheets to be reconsidered and all. I would advise you not to even take that route because it's just a dead end. Your remedy rather lies somewhere else. As a songwriter, Shina, the most you can do in copyright, there are three kinds of rights broken down. There are moral rights, authorship rights, and ownership rights. Moral rights, authorship rights can't be taken away from you. And they're not given to you by this law. It's just a principle of copyright. As long as you have that, you own the song and you have your rights to it. So you shouldn't even wait for the law to be passed for you to claim what is yours, so to speak.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Thank you.
Which is why I say now, if they're not allowing, then go find remedies elsewhere.
So maybe you can guide us on practical solutions or remedies. Ngeze mu studio nkubye tune yange Daddy Andre mugamba kakati eno split sheet tukayanya tuganya okukkiriziganya. How do we solve that?
Ochali ku bali abakadde
going forward. Going forward.
As an artist, first of all, or a songwriter, I would advise that you seek legal advice. It might not make sense now, but in the long run it really does. Nti omuyimbi aze ayagala oluyimba mubutuufu nkimanyi oyinza okuba sente ozeetaaga, but it doesn't take much for you to say that, you know what, there is this agreement to signing nti wherever the song goes I own 30% of it because it's your song. And besides, moral rights, authorship rights, like I said, can't be taken away from you. You know what you are wandika.
Okay.
Find a lawyer, go to court. Trust me.
So what you're advising in the process of the creation of the music, they should involve a lawyer.
Exactly.
When an artist comes to a songwriter to make a song.
It could even be like get a lawyer as a record label, let them draft for you something, a standard template. They don't have to come back every time.
Okay, guys, we're going to have to rush this session. You and then.
Could you I feel like just Mubuntu. Yes, that's very true. But Mubuntu nga music n'abantu bano. But twagatuusa mukaseera nga ogenda mufunamu olyoke okuzirya weka. It's just Mubuntu ogamenti ata mugabane
Mubuntu abantu alya sente nga zizo.
But going forward though, nga papa yagambye singa kibamuteeka nti kikakatibwako okukolebwa then abajja kikola otherwise bagenda tukolako ekibuli. For example, I did a song with Diamond Platnumz. Diamond yatekayo nga songwriter, so they strike my account ku BMI. Unakuwa wimba ne Spice ne Mbosso. Spice yagamba yalwandika, so Mbosso natekayo boka, they strike my account. But because they have more numbers and more, players than me, baso kukolako ekibuli. Then singa kibamuteeka, then maybe we have.
Kale singa oli mugagga wulira namba za Diamond, namba za Mbosso.
Yeah, nze njagala nnyo amateeka lwakuba siri lawyer. Kanjogereko n'omukulu ono. You know, we have what we call the difference between just the law that then this is intellectual property kind of law. The way how we deal this is intellectually very different. What we are dealing with, we are not dealing with people. That's why I told musicians, should you involve or would you involve a manager, they will go and learn because it is their job. And they will negotiate everything professionally with the technical team who are the producers and writers in the beginning. Because we always give songs without even paying at the first time. But it is called passionate, then it's creative. So this creative, it is the art. Kyekikufuula artist. So tuyinza okubeerawo ne tuvibinga ne nkukolera oluyimba, but kyetugenda okutunda luyimba so si gwe nga bw'oyagala. So we are not talking about gwe amateeka agakutwala. Let's talk about the item, the commodity, how we should do it so that kigaana okuleeta ki so omuyimbi oli mutuufu okutwala oluyimba luno oluteekayo, naye amazima gali nti luno oluyimba w'olutwala ewantu nga mu kampani ejjadduukiriza kuba bajja kugamba who is the right anti yegwe, naye kampani ng'etandika okujja mu buntu nti banyini luyimba twabategedde. That means nti kino ekintu mumanye management. Omanyi lwaki mbagamba value chain? Mbasaba nnyo. The Nigerians, why they are where they are right now is because of their management. Balina team nga weekwata omuyimbi ddala. Omuyimbi abeera ekyo kyali. Nze mbaagaliza nnyo si nti oba nzalawo omuyimbi, but nze mbasaba management, they will finish all this thing. We don't need even a lawyer. We don't need a lawyer. All we need is a copyright law. Nti ekintu kyekolenga kyokka, structure ejja kutereera yokka. Then ekirala nkyatereeza katono, the word a song, it is when it is recorded. You know the word re, what it means. Meaning nti era tosobola ku re-recordinga mpozi ng'okisabye. But the word recording is to get all the chords together. Yeah? Kino ekintu kiba kikyakola sente. What we are talking about, a song will always last because it is a wave. It is a space. That's where the word digital comes from. So it will always keep supplying. Oluyimba olutaatunda guli omwaka osobola oddutta kati oba ennyimba z'onu Shadrack zeyakola projects ezo ayogera n'azikola ki n'asigala nga azirondoola n'amanya ki ekiziriko. Because a song can come right now ne katunda ku TikTok ne kakola sente naye nga tali kufuna. So what we are trying to say is that bino si bya muntu nga eteeka wali tolimanyi kasita twayita, but this one we are talking about something that is still a brand new towards new young baby show people who are still being born bawuliriza ennyimba. So all I'm trying to help, oli mutuufu mateeka ago naye twogere ku luyimba. Let's talk about the product. Actually, when we go towards personal things, let's see how the music itself as a commodity. How can we gain industry for kubanga tufunamu fenna okitegeera so si mmwe okubamba nga mmwe abakabibi kino. The song.
And everybody, yes. Pass the mic to Sarah.
Actually, we munakola ekyo, thinking, your way of thinking will change from today.
Yes,
when you concentrate on the word a song, the one that you've recorded, not on simanyi ono omuyimbi, simanyi ani, but the song. Luno oluyimba tugenda tufunamu tutya? Mugenda kunoonya zi Ugatunes, mugenda kunoonya abantu abasobola bino ebintu. That is still part of management. Ababimanyi bajja bibayambako. Management, ate temugenda ba manager omuntu nga yava eri n'agamba mbuno ye asobola okumanaginga. That's a fan. Oyo fan mujje musayininge naye ayogere ne bamanager abamanyi guno omulimu gwa bizinensi. Ebyalooya bye bamanyi.
Sarah, let's go to content piracy. Content piracy is a major issue in Uganda. How do you ensure, how should creatives ensure that their works are protected? And if a work is pirated, what are some of those mechanisms they can go through to reclaim?
Thank you so much. So, first of all, if your work is copyrighted, it is a very long process for you to reclaim the copyright. But for you to protect your song, you should have registered. Your publisher or your distributor gives you a unique ID for the song. So, bw'okwata olulimi olulina ID n'olwa-uploadinga, tewali asobola kulu-duplicatinga. But if you get your original master copy, etaliko ID, and you upload it, that is when your song will be pirated. Kubanga abala bajja babasobola downloadinga bakole oba baluteeke yonna gye baagala oduteeka gy'otagenda kujja sente. So get that, or the copy that has been given to you by your distributor, the one that has a unique ID, gy'oba okola ki, gy'obeera osharinga. Y'ensonga lwaki ojja kusanga nti gwe nannyini luyimba naye, let's say you're trying to play the song on Facebook and you receive a strike because they know that this song is not distributed by you, it is someone else has an ID for this song. So use a song that has an ID. For piracy, if you need to control that as well, the wabeerawo websites ezirina oluyimba illegally. There is a company in the US called Audiolock. So if you can partner with Audiolock or write to Audiolock, but when you're writing to them, be specific and write and say, my song called XYZ is being pirated on this platform XYZ ABC. Stipulate them, share the links, and then request them to strike the song from that specific website, and the song will be striked.
Thank you. Lastly, James Proper, what advice would you give to young creatives who want to start distributing their work digitally?
Yeah, first of all, but this goes to the government. Nti bwe babanga ba investor abakola amasepiki n'abakola enkumbi tubawe ettaka ery'obwerere. Government gives free land, tax holidays to people that are making saucepans. But this industry that contributes, the last I heard, I think I heard Bebe Cool saying it contributes about 3.8% to the GDP. There is no investor that gets this support from government. So, it is nice to distribute via the do-it-yourself platforms, which I'll not mention again. But I feel like if we are going to go from a place where we are to a place where we are exporting and entering markets like the Nigerian markets, like the southern sub-Saharan markets, Zambia, Malawi, then we need to work with people that already have establishments in those markets. And the best way to get those people to work with Ugandans is when they know that when they set up something in Uganda, they don't have to pay tax. They can get free office space. They can get access to resources like other investors. So that is the bigger picture that will take us into exporting Ugandan music. But for an artist that is beginning, so there's our government, but we are by extending services, there is a company that Wycliffe works for that I've been doing stuff with for close to 10 years. It breaks my heart when my boss tells me that we pay close to 40% tax.
40%?
Yes. Which money would have been used to invest back. It's a Ugatunes company. So such things break my heart that there is no benefit for things like that. How will Sony, how will Universal, how will the Orchard open up? How will Mudundo grow beyond her? And she has a full office of over 20 people if they have to pay the heavy taxes. So that is where it starts if we are going to distribute music correctly. Because the best way to distribute music correctly, unfortunately, it's painful. Some people don't like it, but the world has gatekeepers. And the best way we can get there is to work with them. When you look at names like, what's her name? Tyler, the girl who did Water. Banang, is Water the best song? I think even Sijalos would have been better. But because Sijalos was going through a do-it-yourself platform, it could not make the same numbers like Water did. Water goes through a major label. So that is where we have to look. So younger artists, if you can reach out to these companies, that is the first thing you should do. Reach out to major labels, indie labels that are a bit bigger, that can help you grow your music. But those that cannot have access to Empire, Sony, Universal, what you can do is simple. I don't know how to term it, but when you have an inquiry, how can I get my music to Spotify, for example? Just type that in Google. The first article you read, it will spark your mind with more questions. Before you know it, if you continue questioning the different things that you're reading and the different things that you're researching on, in 2 months you're going to be a pro. The first step now is for you to start with the do-it-yourself platforms. TuneCore, DistroKid, CD Baby. But if you know how to use the email, if you know how to use the very important tool today in the music industry, is called LinkedIn. But I move to Facebook and Instagram. Go to LinkedIn. Because on LinkedIn, nesi or Spotify kwali. On LinkedIn, ne MD wa Sony Music Africa kwali. On LinkedIn, head of music Sub-Saharan Africa for Spotify Jamusangako. So those are some of the things we are. But get your music through TuneCore, DistroKid. And I know we have companies here. I know Songs Avenue has something. I know there is one called Omziki. I know Content Connect Africa has something that can distribute your music to digital streaming. And the quicker win is Uganda, actually offline. But I'm seeing artists making 40 million from Ugatunes. Yes. Why prefer? Why can testify? He can testify. Artists are making 40 million on Ugatunes. So that is also a quick win. That is also distribution. So it is something we should however much I believe that it's a product that is good, that might grow very fast and then die out because abasinga katesimu mukubaza WhatsApp. But for now, I think it is something that we should consider.
Okay. Quickly, I want to pass the mic to at least an artist. The president of Uganda gave us a gift called the Copyright Management Systems. Tumanyiche batuwadde. What Rafiki? What did they give us? Wanji? Lawyer Linda, tulaba abayimbi babategedde. Omanyi omuntu ayinza okuwa ekirabo naye nga tokimanyi. Ate n'atugamba musanyuke kubanga n'abawadde ki? Ekirabo. Ekirabo wakifunye? Tamanyi kirabo. Ekirabo kya Copyright Management Systems. Did you understand what the government gave us?
Oh yeah, I understood and I understand. I'm called Happy Chaze, and I'm from jazz saxophonist. Yeah, well, in that we can name me. era avako ku mulamwa katono naye nga tensigaddeko. Waliwo wabuuzizza nti why music waffe tasala okugendako globally. To me nengamba kirina sooka kuva ku artist quality ki, how unique are you, bagenda kukoppako ki. So how unique are you, then wobunaba unique just sala automatically bajja kulwanira nga totadde munabayo.
Ekirabo wakifunye.
Nakifunye.
What does that mean to the creative arts industry? The efforts of Eddie Kenzo, the Federation, and the President granting us a copyright management system. Oba okyakytegereza.
Nkyayiga.
Muganda.
Yes, sir.
You understand what's going on. You are at the forefront of the Audio Producers Association, but what are the copyright management systems?
Yeah.
What do you think about our gifts to the creatives?
I'd like to applaud Eddie Kenzo for that. Yeah, but let's keep on the look, because I think it's going to do something, because I had like it's a gadget that is placed in different bars. Yeah, and because I haven't seen it, it is just a hearsay. Yeah, so let's keep on the look. We hope for the best. Kowanga, we've all been yearning for something that is going to benefit all the creatives. So if it is going to benefit the producers, the songwriters, then well and good. Let's keep on the look and we hope for the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Linda ko. Linda. Ratula Federation abamanyi kigenda mass. Let's just get random feedback.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Emily, and my company did 2 years of research and development in the creative sector with Alliance Française. And through their networks, we got to engage with British Council, the German Culture Center, and American Center and the embassy programs. And we found that the creative sector is very robust. There is poets, there's so many people, dancers, models, fashion people, and even some of the graphics designers going into EFTs. And that's, we saw that in Uganda alone, they're not as documented as the musicians, but they're there. So I have a little bit of a problem with this so-called copyright management system. Why don't you just call it a music management system? Because it just feels like even the panel right now is just representing musicians. We have hubs of young people who are in the video game space, and they stream every day, and they actually make money off of it. But this whole room is full of musicians, and we're talking about musicians, and we're talking about singers, and we're talking about agents, and everyone's having the argument, which is amazing. We clap for you. Maybe you're the loudest people in the room. But how are you going to actually get buy-in from the rest of the creative sector who are actually there, but they're not as loud as you, and then you keep calling it a content management system?
Wow, thank you so much for that feedback. Yes, Fra.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me just start with my sister. You said you? Emily. Yeah, very nice concerns and insights. However, I just want to ask a simple icebreaker. How many concerts are held by gamers? Huh? Exactly. That's what I wanted to bring up. The point is, music is the biggest domain in the creative arts. No, it doesn't kill them, but it is the biggest domain. So even in revenue collection, you will find that music is going to contribute heavily.
Just a quick clarification.
Yes.
Yeah? Their argument is the word being used is creative arts.
Yes.
regardless of who composes the biggest or smallest domain, they are all within the same basket. So they have a valid, valid point.
And I began by appreciating your concern, yeah? Yeah. Anyway, back to the question that was coming about this...
copyright management system.
Yes.
Is it for the artists? Is it for the industry? Like she asked.
Like Renex said, it is an entire system. So it is for the entire country, the entire arts. That question will go to the organizers, yeah? I'm being objective now.
Okay.
Yeah.
go ahead, please. We need to wrap up.
Yeah, but anyway, I just wanted to pick out a very, very important and unique statement that the president said while passing this. He said, now technology should be able to tell us who has played my song and where. So this system, when we were requesting for it at State House, we thought we had done exhaustively. But President Museveni asked us one question. How are you fencing your
creative content program? Njagala fena bali mu room eno twebuze mulimu ba manager, mulimu abantu bonna from all walks of life but in the creative industry. If digital distribution for creative content management program is the answer right now, what are the questions? What are the questions now we need to ask ourselves? Abayimbi, baloya, what are the questions? If this is the answer, what are the questions? Thank you very much.
Lastly, let's pass the mic to the lawyer. What exactly did the creative industry receive from President Museveni in the simplistic terms?
Well, thank you, Douglas. I would just like to break it in three parts. First of all, I applaud the team behind it, and I think it's a welcome idea and system. However, it was a bit selfish of them, first of all, because reading from what the press release they made, I've read the act itself exhaustively, but there are things it actually doesn't cover. Many of us in this room were happy. They talked about split sheets and whatnot, but I promise you, that act says nothing about it. And I'm so glad we have gentlemen like himself who work with Spotify, who I also fault in a way. I think I should first address you before anyone else. Listen, I've struggled with Netflix several times trying to upload Ugandan content. And the reason why, the major reason they give for not having most of our content there is because we don't follow, should I call it due process? Because why you work here on Netflix and they see a minor, someone below 18, say in a movie, but in a kubuza, consent agreement yomuzadde oyo mwana eriwa. Bw'oba tokiina they won't put it there. It's a red flag. Tewawuliddemu oluyimba mulimu saxophone bajja kubuuza ani yagikuba. Ojja gamba mumanyi namusasula and what not, but bajja kusaba agreement. Kakati back to you Spotify. How about you do the same thing? Noga nti split sheet ziliwa. Inti mulimu, like you ask for who the writer is, the producers. Where are their agreements? If someone doesn't have them, why do you then go ahead and upload that work there? That was to you, sir. Yeah, but let me just conclude.
For the interest of time, I want us to conclude this, guys, and we go to the next session. Please.
Back to our act, the copyright, the bill, see the presented an act. First of all, I was saying it was selfish of the people that pushed for it to that extent to not consider supporting, they're called neighboring rights. They mostly consider the artist's rights, the person that sings, those are called performing rights. The act hardly says a thing about the neighboring rights. That's the songwriters, producers, and whoever. No. Okay, if we chose to go deep into it, we would spend the night here. But okay, quickly through it. I'll carry on. The act doesn't address neighboring rights to the actual copyright. What Daddy Andre calls Omuyimbi is the person performing the song. Songwriter, in the sense of this act, you're owning a.
So, nze mbadde ngoberera etteeka eryo, you know, nga ndi bweru waakyo naye nga ndaba how things are happening. Do you know why songwriters and producers are not really, like, they're not at the center of it? It's simple. Their associations are very weak. Their associations balabanga amendment ejja. The last lawyer from 2006. Engagements z'okukyusa etteeka zatandika I think around 2010. Okiraba? 14 years later, 15 years later, we have a chance to be masoga member of parliament. Naye associations z'abakulu abo ne John Kesimanyi wajali, they did not do their part to make sure that they speak.
Well, I think I get the point now. I didn't know about that bit, but then I still find it selfish that you people who work with these same people didn't even bother to reach out to them and bring them on board.
Thank you.
Let me just conclude. Douglas,
yes.
The other thing this act doesn't talk about is the payment systems, the payment infrastructure. Yes, they're going to collect all this money, but how are you going to distribute it among the artists? The act is actually cited on all that.
Okay.
And it's one of the bits I fault it on.
We have another panel coming after Shadrach. And for the interest of time, guys, thank you so much, Sarah, Daddy Andre, James Proper, Sheena Skies, and Kings Weasley, Tetuja Kumala. Because we are also passionate about these issues, but we don't have a lot of time. Oh, I request we come back for a picture, Proper, a quote to documenting. Yes. Let's all come back for a group photo. Andre? Who is the cameraman? But thank you so much for sharing your views. Thank you. Thank you. One person from the audience asked us, Natugamba Twabavuze speedy. It was by design. The people who have organized this particular workshop is Ugatunes, cash for every tune. There are people who are behind this amazing app. It's not new. I actually first interfaced with it during lockdown. And it does a lot of amazing things. Maybe because since I joined, let me invite one of the key people in Ugatunes, Shadrach, Ajay, at unveiling the plan, the vision, ya Ugatunes 2025. A round of applause for Shadrach, guys. Shadrach is very, very passionate about this industry. I've also worked with him closely in building capacity for artists and creatives. Shadrach who? Chisami Shadrach. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Douglas. Thank you, everyone. That has. Where am I supposed? Here? No. I see it. Okay. Okay. A very good evening, guys. Thank you so much for coming through. Everyone that has spent their time to come and be with us here today. Ugatunes is an initiative that was birthed around lockdown when I don't know if some creatives are here, but some of the creatives would flock to Gulu to see the big man. So he was thinking, what would be the solution for what is happening in the creative space? So he tasked a couple of us to come up with something. And we thought that how could artists earn even when they are not on stage? You know, because that was the number one problem. Katafande tetuyimba, tetuli ku stage, tuwe sente, so people stayed in Gulu hotels and they amounted to bills of over 1 billion shillings for those years. So he was perplexed and he was wondering, what do I do? So when they bring people like me on board, I have worked with a couple of international organizations, DSPs, distributors. I span close to a decade. So I take my English and then I start giving him solutions using a lot of English. So afterwards he tells me, Shadrach, yes, you said all that, but the industry has one problem. The problem is capital-labor relations. And at first it didn't make sense because I thought I knew a lot. But our patron is a very wise man. For people who do not know, the patron is General Salim Saleh, Kandanoho Caleb, retired. And he took me through a schooling. And I understood that there's so much labor. There's so many creatives. But that doesn't match the capital. So that's why you find a lot of artists that are on a daily, when someone gets to know that this is Shadrach, or when they get my number, Shadrach Mfunira Management, that's the number one. Mfunira Anteka Musende. In other words, creatives are looking for capital. Labor is looking for capital. But then we also discovered that people like the Shadrachs, who earlier on invested, Hassan, they invested earlier on and they figured that there was no professionalism in the industry. And their money died. In other words, they did not make their money back. There was no return on investment. So what happened was we needed to find a way of creating an environment that safeguards an investor's money. In other words, we needed to come up with a solution that makes the creative sector investment ready. We needed to come up with a solution that actually guarantees an investor. Nzija sente zange mu bikajjo, nkutaddemu million 2, nasobola ogajjayo. The creative industry is the only industry that I know about in terms of business that you will invest 100 million and the only thing you have to show is a YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel does not even make $1,000 a month. I know. I meet so many investors. Music, like somehow God has blessed me that every time someone is trying to invest in an artist, they're like, Shadrach Obimanyi, Soko Jomba Lidem. And I'll tell them the truth. That this is not, because 100 million if you bought land in Gayaza, after 3 years, I don't know. But in this industry, if you invested it, you may not, God willing, you can very fast when you do the right things, but you may also not. So I've been in so many times in debates between capital, which are managements, labels, investors, and labor, who are the creatives. And because the creative is the one who is seen, they have the sympathy
say thank you to all artists that believed in us when we were just starting. So many artists were, but Shakira Bani, the music is in there. So we were testing it out, and we came up with what we call an MVP, a minimum viable product, which was the DSP. And I remember I reached out to a couple of artists trying to tell them this, and some, because of the industry that we're in. So we moved on some time as we were developing what we are launching today, the distribution platform. Now, they can always go on a conversation back and forth, distributor, who is the best distributor, who is this, who is that, who is this. But this is what I have to say. I have been in the digital game. I'm spanning to a decade now. I've worked with the best distributors. I've represented AudioMark for a long time. I helped Boomplay come in here. I studied Mudundo at campus. It's been a long time. So one thing I know is that first things first, your music has to be there. Before we get into who is the best distributor, your music has to be there, primarily. Because even if, let's say, Abasa over there was pitching music, or what James does at Spotify, so the first thing is, the music has to be on the platforms. Before we move to who is the best distributor, the music has to get there. So this is the solution that we are presenting today. That a creative has the ability to distribute their music on a global scale. And mind you, we had a vision as Ugatunes. When people talk about digital, it's just Kampala. People think that Kampala is Uganda. No. There's so many creatives, what we call the last mile creatives. There's so many TikTok videos that I watch, and guys have extremely nice content, but they're in the Antonde. You see an artist, very good artist, but they're in Karamoja. Very brilliant. It's just that they don't have exposure. So Uganda is not Kampala. Even the conversation that we were having earlier on the panel, people were talking about, you see the Nigerians. Personally, and it's not because I'm a Ugandan, I feel like Uganda has some of the best musicians on this continent. And I'm not just saying because I'm Ugandan. Those guys don't sing nothing. I'm telling you, there's a demo one, and kids are singing. You get it? But what Nigerians have been able to do is that capital came into their industry before us. Two-Face Dibia signed an international deal over 25 years ago. Fela Kuti. Capital has come into their market. They were buying up a firstborn. They had Sokayo. So the fact that they have enough capital doesn't make us less talented. But the thing is that because professionalism and capital came into their market earlier, now the industry is streamlined. And this is what we're saying, even with Ugatunes and the products that I'm going to be presenting. We want to streamline the industry so that when this big company, James has told you, they want Mudundo to have a full office. As country representative for AudioMark, 5 years, I never had an office. I wanted to tell these guys I need to do things in Uganda. They're like, you don't have enough streams. Because they would, evaluate us on a quarterly level. And they would say, Shadrach from Uganda, you had 30 million streams. And then Mike Abel in Nairobi is having 120 million streams, man. For you on 35 million streams in a quarter. So if that guy needs support, they will give him support. So, it's premising from that experience that we come up with a Ugandan solution that understands Ugandan problems so that we can streamline the industry and attract international players, but then also attract investors. Because what we are bringing with Ugatunes, we are saying, hey, there's a dashboard of an app where J-Cuts from his streaming, where we pay 10 shillings per stream on the app, J-Cuts makes $10,000 a month, and then we distribute his music, he makes $5,000 a month, and then from his publishing, because he's a songwriter, he makes another $2,000 every quarter. So when you look at all that economics, or all that accounting, J-Cuts in a quarter makes, say, $80,000. So now there's something we're doing with Afro Mobile, with UDB, to create a credit line for creatives. That when Ugatunes presents now this economics, this accounting, and says, this is what you're doing, this is what JCATS can be able to earn in a quarter, can you give him $100,000? So that is part of the solution. But all that comes when the industry is streamlined and the music is digitally traced. Some of the other reasons why we said we need to really venture into distribution. One of the biggest artists, you know, we have the big three. One of the big three was with my boss Deo there, and he wanted, I think, $5 million from Deo. And so Deo was like, Shadrach, how do I make my money back? So I'm like, send the catalog. So I did what we call a digital catalog audit. He owns 400 songs. Some of the songs we know they were sung by him. But I do a digital audit and he only owns 100 songs. 300 songs are not his. Kasi ukira X-Zone. And he's like, no, Zange, Esmanya Lusini. What? So now, what I didn't know, so now Deo calls me after the audit. He's like, okay, Shadrach, tell me what happened. And now Deo tricked me. I didn't know that I was on loudspeaker. I'm like, don't give that guy a coin. He doesn't own the music. So all of a sudden I hear the phone, Shadrach, the song is mine. I'm like, Deo, you want the guy to kill me. But this is the thing. It is because his music was not streamlined. So an artist like that cannot get that money because his music is not streamlined. And this is where we're coming from. So that's why we say, hey, let's create a distribution platform that streamlines an artist's music. So that even when they come now and they want credit facilities, they want investment, there's something that we can show to the investor. Because even getting advances from international companies, I've done this for a couple of artists where they've gotten money, $20,000, $30,000, but premising on how much they've been earning from their previous distribution. So that can happen. That's why it's so important that artists out there sign on to Ugatunes very fast. It doesn't only put your music on those apps, on those DSPs, but you're first in line for an advance because we can track. I don't care whether chikubanye kawembe basiba kuluyimba lwo, you're not going to get any dime from Ugatunes if your music is not with us and we don't know how it plays. So it's so important that you distribute with us. That's why you see he chased them out of Google because of this solution. And lucky enough, we went to our partners, UCC. Now, UCC under their program, WorkSAF, have something that they call, extending digital access and services to the last mile Ugandan. So we tell UCC, hey, look, the last mile Ugandan could be a fisherman, could be a vendor, could be a mechanic, but it also could be a creative. I was saying, we told them, why don't you partner up with us so that we take this solution to the creative in Katakwi? So that by the time I'm in Katakwi with my team, I'm going to live with all the musicians in Katakwi, have their songs on Spotify. All the musicians in Kabarore will have their music on Spotify. So that's why we are with UCC, and a round of applause to UCC for the support, please. So they shared into our vision and they said, let's take the gift of distribution, because the panel here before have emphasized that distribution or digital is the next thing. But it's not just the next thing in Kampala. It is the next thing in Uganda. One time I was on a TV interview with Douglas, and I was telling the presenter that in Europe and in the US, for you to be gigable, in other words, for you to get a gig, to know where Iraq can get performance, they look on your audio mark numbers, they look on your Spotify numbers, and they know, okay, right now, Iraq is hot in Amsterdam. If we put up a show, indeed, Iraq will blow. So, as internet penetration goes deeper in Uganda, as internet even becomes cheaper, we shall not need Abitex or Badjo to tell us who is hot where. I will know that in Liantonde, Iraq is hot. I can put up a show and people can come. That's where we are going with the help of you, of UCC. That as internet keeps penetrating and people have access, they will start telling us who is hot where. Not a promoter saying, no, the numbers will tell us. Right now, why we are depending on promoters is because we don't know what is on ground. But as we move closer into the last mile creatives, into the last mile Ugandans, having enough, as smartphone acquisition increases, we shall now know which artist is giggable where. So those are some, in a nutshell, those are some of the things. But Ronnie, are we ready so that we can unveil the platform? We have another panel coming. And a round of applause to Douglas. We had a really nice panel earlier. This is one of the best conversations in the creative I've ever had. One of the best. It was so organic. At first people were faking it and then emotions came in. But it was a really nice panel. So that's the distribution platform. You can just check on your phone right now. It's live. It's distribution.ugatunes.com. Distribution.ugatunes.com. And it tells you to stream your music worldwide. And you can just look at the interface. You can just go. Who we are. It talks about what we're doing. And remember, this is a Ugandan solution, tailor-made for Ugandan creatives, for Ugandan people. Scroll. You know, you can join. So those are some of the people that, you know, brought their music first. Daddy Andre over there, Hatim and Doki. Is it still Hatim and Doki? It's what? Doki and Hatim. Okay, first wait. First come back. We need to give a round of applause to these guys. Come back down. Yes. There's Martha Mukisa right there, Black Magic. Thank you guys so much for trusting us. And there's Shakira. So a round of applause to the guys who supported us first. Abalala mwagana. Wesley nakusaba music wabalokole no munyima. Gwene Joab. So it shows you how to distribute. That right there is the dashboard. Continue. It shows you how to get started. You know, it's saying take control of your music business. You know, some of the reviews. Oh, another important person that I have forgotten, actually two people gave me over 200 songs. Paul Saka and Budo SS. And the late Honorable Dr. Katol Buama, you can find his music only on Ugatunes. Okay, so let's imagine we are creating an account. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it shows you this. I don't know, I'm not seeing properly. So it will show you your first name, your last name, your email, your contact, your address, and your country of tax residence. And it's automatically Uganda. Of tax residence. Next. So let's imagine his tax residence wosasulira omusolo. Ensi gyosasuliramu omusolo. So you'll put in all that. Ronnie, I thought you wanted to do it live. So you cannot press next unless you feel that, right, Ronnie? Okay. When you press next, it will bring what your role is. What Andre has been here teaching us about. Either you're an artist, or you're a manager, or you're a label. In other words, in what capacity are you a rights owner? So all those three categories, you're supposed to be a rights owner. You know, so you'll say your artist name, your band name, your label name. So it will bring, now when you come here to genre, it will bring you a drop down. And, you know. James, it's like for genre, we are always doing Afrobeat. For genre, if not Afrobeat. So this is for, you know, KYC purposes, we need your YouTube link, your Instagram link, and your Twitter link to find out whether you're really whom you say you are. Because you'll say you're Bukachimi and you're not Bukachimi. So we need to confirm. The next is the contract. You take your time. But just know we're on percentage basis. We are not like DistroKid, TuneCo, and all those guys who ask for money. It's percentage you get. So you put your music, and the percentage is there, 20/80. And then you submit. Yeah, it's negotiable. Okay. Then it will tell you registration completed successfully. Our team will carefully review. Let's first go back to that. Our team will carefully review, and it will get back to you shortly. Watch out for an email from us. In other words, you cannot just create an account on Ugatunes distribution in one day. Because we need to find out, are you Soj or it's someone else? Because people have created so many dummy accounts, and they've been stealing people's music. They've been earning from people's music. So that's why we would send you an email. So if you don't see an email in 48 hours, although you will also get an email that declines your application. When we do our, know your client, and we find out you're not really Soj, you're someone else, then we'll do that. Okay, let's imagine the person got an email and they got in. What do they see? You say we're publishing? Okay. Okay, so that means the person has come in, we've sent them a link in their email, and they are now logging in. Guys, you can apply now. You can apply now. Okay, so this is how it looks like. This is how your dashboard will look like. It will start with how much money you have. If you've withdrawn money, it will show you the money you've withdrawn, and it will also show you the streams that you've made. It will show you also, this is the money analytics. How much money you have made in when. Like for instance, you can filter by date and know how much money you've made from where, from what store, like that. Then you can click on projects. If you have, let's say for instance, this one you've already put projects. Let's say for instance, we are doing a new project. First click on a new project. You're trying, now the project is what we call the song. You put in the name of the project, you put in the name of the artist, and then the description about that project. Kakana, olikuduka nnyo. Simanya ani abuziza neba kakana funa speed governor. So you put in the description. It's important to put the description of a song for the creatives that are here. Don't just put a song, because that's what we use when we are pitching a song. You need to describe the song. It's so important. So you've created a project here, and in that project, you can create products. So now you create a product. And is it either a video or a digital audio? But for video, it's important that you understand the video that cannot have produced by Daddy Andre, mastered by Renex. And then you bring Jawab Pro. So for video distribution, they are quite, they're very stringent on the rules there. The video, it should only have the artist's name and the song, period. Because you've seen even songs that the videos on Vivo. You do not have all that Jawab Pro ndimulokole. You cannot, So with video, it has to be a certain quality, and you have to be clean. By clean, you do not have a lot of logos. Your manager's logo, the promoter's logo, it's grandmother. There's a lot of logos. Where are we? We are here. Which one? Or why you guys are on your phone? We do it on your phone. On the phone, eh? Okay. Hey. You are frozen. When you're distributing video content, to have the highest quality. Because what happens even when you're distributing to Apple Music, the video, or even Boomplay, wherever you're distributing, there's a certain quality they want for that video. So it's very, very important that the video is not dirty, doesn't have a lot of things, and also the quality is at a certain level. Very, very important. We're back? Okay. Okay. So this is the basic. You'll put the name of the project. Let's say it is... you have to reload? Okay. Okay. Let's say it's digital. Let's say it's digital. You save the changes. So you'd come and put the name, the format. Is it a full length? Is it an EP or is it a single? What version is it? Is it remastered? I had a conversation between Andre and people saying, is the song original? Is it? So we cater for it. Has someone sampled? Is it a sample? Is it an original song? Is it a remastered song? We need to know, you know. And then, you know, you put version notes. And then the language in the lyrics. Do you have that drop down? So it has a couple of languages. It has a couple of languages. Most people were putting... From previous distributors, people would put Luganda songs and put English. Today we have Ganda. Eh? So if your song is in Luganda, you click Ganda. Yes. And then there's the UPC code, the SRC codes. Those ones can be provided. Then artwork, it's important. Your image should be in a square format. Minimum is 3K by 3K pixels. Maximum is 6K by 6K RGB format and should be opaque. In other words, the artwork needs to look nice. And then now you can put in the track. It should be only WAV and maximum should be 100 MBs. And then now you can add your track. Try adding a track. Okay, so you'd have to browse through. You don't have any song. Eh, my guy. You don't have any song. But tech guys, eh? Ah. So go to publishing. Someone mentioned that have a songwriter. So we are not just distributing. I think here you need to pay attention. It's the conversation that Sheena had here earlier. So we're doing publishing. Now publishing has nothing to do with someone who doesn't write and someone who doesn't compose. Now composer, gwe muita producer. But the producer is the one who pays money. You've seen on movies, executive producer is the one who was paid. So that guy has not been playing a keyboard somewhere. No. So a producer is someone who has paid for it. So usually the producer is like the manager, the label. So publishing is only for composers, we meet our producer, and then authors, whom we call songwriters. Now we have a publishing dashboard here. But it's exclusively for songwriters and producers. Also, and composers. Also, a producer can earn from publishing if, if you worked under hire, and there was a contract that you're working under hire, toba anja, then yes, with a contract in toba anja, then the producer
or the one who paid would come and earn that publishing. But if it was just that wasasura shina kakadde kamu just for studio time, no sasura Daddy Andre just 2 million for studio time, no sasura Renex whatever for studio time, it doesn't mean ti aweddeyo. No. You have paid for studio time. Unless you say Renex ngenda kuwa $5,000,000 tobanja nkujjemu, that's work under hire. So kati Renex akola oluyimba abatabanja. So when a label comes to Ugatunes and says I'm getting publishing for this music, we'll ask you, but I paid the producer. What did you pay for? Did you pay for studio time 1 million? Or was the for Yaka? Did you pay for Yaka, or you paid the guy work under hire tabanja? So that's the only way a label, an artist, even an artist can pay you and you work under hire, no banga tomobanja. So they would be liable, or they would be eligible to collect publishing. So the publishing dashboard is simple. Composer or writer's name, the name of the works, or what song it is. You put a Spotify link to that song. You put a YouTube link to that song. Then if there's a split sheet, we need to understand what was the percentage split. That's why they talked about split sheets. It's so important. So if I own publishing 100%, I own 100% of publishing. Like let's say for instance, and then also it's important to understand how a split sheet works. Most people don't know how a split sheet. Split sheet. 50% of publishing always belongs to the composer. The producer always owns 50% of publishing. Let's say for instance, you went to Renex or Daddy Andre, Nakuba beat. He already owns 50% of publishing. Then if Daddy Andre writes half of that song, now we know Andika verse yo. It means Daddy Andre has 50% of publishing, but then he also has a 25% of your 50% because there are two authors. So authoring is 50%. Production is 50%. So that's how a split sheet is done. The producer or the composer always has 50% of publishing. And then writer, bwemba muwandise basatu, oba bananga mugabana 15. Bwemba mbandise babiri, nga mugabana 25. So guys, understand how the split sheet works. Let me finish my presentation, sir. So that's how the publishing works. Like for instance, published works, John Doe, My Hit Song, Spotify, YouTube, 50%. Yeah. That's pretty much how the platform works. And now to talk about, you guys can go through, because of time, you can go through the project, the analytics and all those things. You have an analytics page and all those things. But just to talk about the project, what we are launching today is not only this platform, but we are launching the project with UCC, where we are going to be traveling in a couple of districts as we bring this service close to the last mile youth or last mile creative. So we're going to move with a couple of people on this panel. You know, we would want, because it's not just a matter of writing a song, we would want Shina Skies to tell someone in Liantonde that this is how they write a masterpiece. Like Why by Diamond Platinums and The Ben. How did he come up? Should she come up with that idea? How, you know? So we are going to take a couple of those guys, Daddy Andre, to tell people, how do you sing? There's one time I took an artist to Daddy Andre, and she was in our choir in church. Then Andre was like, mubine byaffe toka kasanyo kona kokaton. At first she was like, you know, real singing, high notes, what. And then I thought, I'm like, Andre, this girl is, because me, I'm not a creative. So I'm like, this girl is singing nicely. But now when the corrections were done, I figured that, okay, chituf, wakonye kukatona, temwana vinyumye. You get, so those techniques, that's what we want to skill the people, the last mile creatives. So that also as we distribute their music, as we distribute their works, you know, the works are acceptable and the works can be pitchable. Now the last part is anyone can distribute music. Go to Match India there. People will be like, leta nze nkutere ku DistroKid. Leta nkutere ku TuneCore. But That's not enough. It's not enough. It's so important because distributing your music doesn't mean automatically you're going to make money. You get? There's so many artists who have music on Spotify with zero. There's an artist I was trying to pitch to James. James Nangamba, they had no streams whatsoever, but their music was on Spotify. So it's not enough that your music qualifies to go to Spotify. How then does your music get to people's ears? You get? And this is something that we want to do. Why? Because we want to raise as a collective. For instance, we are also going to start with Kadongo Kamu to make sure at least we have an official playlist on Spotify. I will die on James. Nti bwoba ogenze ku Spotify kuliko playlist ya Kadongo Kamu and it's recognized by Spotify. You get? Eh? James, nina nyimba mutwalo. Zija. Now that I've launched. You get? So, what we're trying to do is we are saying, can James at Spotify recognize some of our Chidandali music? Can you give us a couple of playlists? At Audiomack, at Mudundo, can Sarah, can you guys consider us? But now we are coming as a block. We are bringing you talent from as far as Shaka, as far as Kabale. We are going to go there and get all that music. So, we are not just distributing music. We are making sure that these artists actually get into recognized playlists. Some people in this room have done it for them on Spotify. I don't know how many times. If I've done it for you for free, you should clap before I look at you. Bukashim is not clapping. So that's what we're going to do. We make sure that artists' music is being... Laura, you didn't clap with your EP that I promoted like a problem. Eh? Aria. You should clap. So we're going to be doing not for people who can reach us in Kampala, but for people that are, you know, in last mile areas. You get it? So that's what we are doing. And then finally, as I wind up, guys, like I started, our problem is capital labor relations. But we need to have the ability to attract investors. And me now I have a problem with politicians. Because now they are taking the best of our artists. People who could sing are now just joining politics. You can stay in music, get investment, and make money here. Someone talked about Tyler. I think it was James. Tyler is the first African artist on one song to make 1 billion streams. You get times 0.004, over $4 million. Translated to Ugandan shillings. One song, one platform, 12 billion Ugandan shillings. One song. But do you know why? There's investment right there. If Burna Boy is releasing a song, Warner is going to put 200,000 marketing budget. Tyler was signed by Sony. Her marketing budget on her new song is $500,000. There's capital. But we need to be able to invest to attract these guys, you know. And we are not waiting for someone else to do it. We have to do it ourselves by having music organized, by having our catalogs organized. For writers and producers, have your catalog organized on the publishing thing. Because from this is where you can move to UDB and tell them I'm Rinex. I produced Cocodiosis, I produced Kasepichi, this is my income. But if I talk to my big brother Rinex, ajaga asafunamu. Yafunamu, eh? Yafunamu chi? Abachala, eh? But it's not enough. I'm telling you, it's not enough. It's not enough. Because that's it's a natural verity that the Lord gave. Even someone in Kataku without money is married. You get? So it's very important that it makes, you know, financial value. That Rinex, togamba it's too late, you know, byababadde boogera ababadde wano musimanyeze nyimba zagwa no. Organize your 40 songs that you did for Bebe Cool. Register your works with Ugatunes. Those songs are still making money now because Bebe Cool is distributing that music. Register your works and make sure, but also make sure that the guy should not find us collecting and say, Nina contract, guy namumalayo, make sure anti tebakumalayo. So that now you register your works, be on your dashboard every quarter, find out how much those songs have made. So it's important. Let's get organized. The guys that are watching, register your works. If you're a songwriter, you're a producer, and then artists, just get onto distribution.ugatunes.com. We cannot say everything, but in case you have questions, it's info@ugatunes.com. info@ugatunes.com. And then also there's a number on the platform where you can call us. Our time is fast spent. We need the next panel because our partners are here with UCC. But if you have questions, info@ugatunes.com will definitely have. But we can also chat on the platform, right? If they have any queries, support. So if there are any queries also on the platform, you can send through support and we can definitely get back to you. Thank you so much for coming. James was complaining at a certain event. Tabana Uganda, oita bibiri, atanu bebajja. James is a nice atanu ndaba chikumi. Thank you so much, Douglas. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Shadrach. For the interest of time, allow me straight up invite our panel. Our next panel is going to be the very last one. It's composed of our main sponsor, Uganda Communications Commission, Engineer Susan Wali. There were a couple of questions earlier on from the past panels. I think they'll be answered in this particular one. So, Engineer, you're most welcome. The next panelist is Conrad Luwama. This one is a video content creator, theatrical to be specific. Conrad, you're welcome. Conrad Wali? Wali. Okay, there is also Gilbert Setuma. He is the entertainment lawyer. He can also come through. Twafunyeyo dda ku birowoozo bye earlier on. Si mwangu. Naye tujja. The next person is Abasa Remireza. He's an A&R and a music business lecturer. You're most welcome, Abasa. And then lastly, Barbara Muyinda, copyright consultant, talent scout of artists also. Barbara, you're welcome. I'm going to start with UCC because there was an issue on the internet pricing from the last panel. But also, since they are our main partner, I just want to hear from them what their vision is in regards to the creative arts sector in Uganda.
Thank you. Amanya Nakanwaji Susan, nja kwogera Oluganda n'Oluzungu. Commission eina department Shadrach jagezezaako okunyonnyola. It's a fund. Fund eyo looks out for all sectors that are underserved or unserved. It has communities, would call them, but it does not work independently. We work with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, but it's a government arm. So we look at the National Planning Authority. We look at the strategic plan for Uganda. We look at everything that when the government says something, we try to see how can ICT come in to help. Story yonanga Shadrach bwagisomye bweyajja n'agisomera management. Management is like, it's a good idea. And abavubuka bangi abagirimu, we want to keep them engaged. How can we work with them as well? I think that's how the commission came up. To partnering nabo. We're experts in certain areas, but we partner with somebody else who has better expertise in a certain sector than us netukola nabo. So about that relationship, it's a phased approach. I'll try to break it down. We supported the development of the platform, but we've also asked him to do the skilling. Because people do events, abantu ne batajja, so it shows the interest. But here's other districts he has to go to, because nayo waliyo creative arts and content, things like that. Now, I'll try to talk about the challenges zebogedde. There was infrastructure, there was devices, and there was cost of internet. Infrastructure, jejo gye okulaba emirongooti. So without that, tuba tetujja kusobola kutuusayo internet, even if it's the voice. A company zino, ba network operator, MTN, Airtel, they look out for where they have business cases. Now the fund again comes in, because it has to serve all Ugandans. Netekamu sente, negamba na wano, we mutalaba business case, feka tusimbeyo mulongoti, business will come up slowly. So we know those areas, we identify them, then netugezako okulaba nti wagenda yochi, infrastructure. Yes, there might be issues with the quality, but at least it's something we know and we are working on to see that we try as much as we can to cover a big part of the country. So it's infrastructure, but it brings in what we call coverage. Bobam coverage area, then esimya jakusobola okola. Okola either voice or internet, which you've talked about, and maybe the sector is now moving more to internet than voice, because even with internet, you can do the voice calls, the OTT. Then devices. Yes, devices are expensive. Good devices, which can do what you want, are expensive. And of course, I saw URA as part of this, and devices are still taxed. The Commission is still fighting because device penetration is low, and we are trying to fight. But we have a new project, again under that fund, that we are trying to explore. It's what we are calling device subsidizing. We want to look out for communities, groups, sectors, where we can subsidize the phones. We will work with partners who are experts at these devices. Then we see if we pay half, how much can the other person pay? And it can be, spread over a period of time. So that's how we are coming in regarding devices. But we can't tell you that the government will stop taxing them, because they also need revenue. So unless we give them an option, which we don't have. So that's how we are trying to come in. Yeah, I think that's enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Engineer Susan. And I want to commend UCC for their commitment in supporting the creative arts sector in Uganda. Thank you so much. I'll pass the mic over to Abasa. Abasa, many artists start and enter this business through passion, vibe, like they call it. How does an artist basically move from that space to making it a real business?
Thanks a lot. I think the most important thing is to understand the business within which you're trying to enter. Earlier, one of the panelists spoke about buying land in Gayaza, that 100 million will, triple or something in a couple of years, because that area of business is very well researched, and a lot of people understand how land is valued and how it grows over time. Whereas in the music business, not so many people know how to make money out of music. Not even many people know how to distribute. And I applaud the guys at Ugatunes for coming up with stuff like this, because we need to teach as many people how the industry works. If there's no data, you can't invest. You as the investor, you can't put any money. He talked about the gap between capital and labor. I can't put money in something that I don't understand. So I feel like, and a lot of artists right now are self-funded. So I feel starting from understanding what the business is about, how you can be able to capitalize on it. What are you selling? Are you selling streams? Are you selling performances? Are you selling ads on your YouTube channel? There's so many streams of money that you can be able to make. And also, I guess, networking. That's one of the things that we don't do. We don't go out and meet the people from Spotify or people from labels. We feel like we can do everything on our own. So I feel networking allows you to give a small percentage. I would rather have 5% of whatever Adele is earning than 100% of what because I also used to release music and I own 100% of it. But yeah,
So yeah, I think sharing, let me put it that way, or knowing that there are people who have expertise. I do partly agree with what Andre was talking about, that people might need management. But I think maybe I would just change it and say you need the right management. You need to know the people who understand the business and then find ways of doing deals with them, as opposed to just anybody who walks up to you says, you know, you need to be a manager. Yeah.
Okay. Also, just lastly, before I get... Okay, I'll pass that to later. Let me come to Conrad. Conrad, Olimo Theatre, or you're in theatre. How are people within theatre leveraging on digital platforms to distribute content and earn? Oba bakyatunulidde stage ngedda wekyali, and yet people no longer go to the theatres.
So basically, in the past, access to theatre was a little bit dictated to physical venues and expensive marketing and traditional media. But today, the digital revolution has offered us access to reach global markets. Platforms like Pearl Magic channels and Afromobile have helped the new producers access stories of like the legendary people like Senkubuge, Abe Muchibi, Mariam Dagide, the likes and so, to be re-digitalized in new formats so that it does not just stop on stage, but stories are told nationally. When you look at where we started from, the National Theatre is like 377 seats. So by that time it was okay to have a national theatre with those number of seats. Kampala had like 10 million people, a population of 10 million people. So it was very, very okay to have a theatre like that, and the stories used to be around that. But with the emergence of digital platforms and the emergence of new broadcasting platforms like Pearl Magic Prime, we have had a really good show like Sanyu, which has helped to pave way into new audiences. And with Afromobile, they did something with Ebony's last year that also helped to tap into new audiences. So with the emergence of platforms like this, we're definitely on the right track because the theaters are not properly, the existing theaters are not properly funded, and the government has failed to build us new spaces that can be mukino ekiseera kyaffe ezirina hype abantu zebasobola okugendamu. Tewakyali muvubuka yenna asobola kutuula mu national theatre ekyo oba Kibati Valley Theatre. They are too disgusting, I must say. So zino apps okujja zituyambako okubeera nga tufuna ku ssente ezandibadde limited ku bantu ebisatu 377. Our stories are being told at a wider span, and the platforms are enabling us by giving us that money as well. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Conrad. I'm going to go to Barbara. Barbara, we've seen a lot of structures being implemented in the creative arts sector, the Federation, National Culture Forum, UNCC, New Board, and all those other developments. How have these helped the creatives earn better from their works, and also, you know, increase on their ability to earn from their talents?
Thank you, Douglas. Once again, the name is Baba Ra Muyinda, and I'm a corporate consultant, legal entertainer. Where were you, jump field? Abasa, please, could you kill the words you said? Because all the great talents that we have in Uganda, most of them, either going abroad, either doing what Abasa is doing. They are all saying, at one time I used to sing, but now everyone is trying to step out of the game. Please, we still need you in the game. So back to the question, the structures. We know that for a long time, or even since history, most of us here are below independence time of Uganda. The music sector has always been informal. So it is only about 7 years ago when I think everyone picked interest. The late Radio Moses stood up and jumped on a table, said, "Mpama ikibichi." We started hearing Save Ugandan music. Fast forward, we had the COVID coming in, and then musicians realizing, hey, we need to work together. So that's when we started hearing Uganda Musicians Association. And with the structures, as Ugandans as we are, we don't believe in these things. We always want to find what is not going right is where we concentrate. But if all artists realized what was going to happen by this time, I think we would have rushed to collectively join hands and push pressure to have everything structured within a short time. Still, to emphasize, please let us join these bodies and entities, because we are only delaying ourselves and delaying the development of the industry by stepping aside. Shadrach, we applaud you for this exercise, and I will take back a good feedback, because previously you would call artists and no one wants to turn up. Like the lady was saying, the film guys feel, but we think about film, but we think about music. They call us as DJs. Everyone wanted to be alone. Yet the industry is like this hand. We have to work together, you know. The producers can't be alone. The consumers themselves can't be alone. The publishers, it's a whole value chain. So the structures, right now, I would confidently say that we are at the level of a federation. The federation simply accommodates all these other associations. Why is it important? As an individual artist, Daddy Andre was saying it, Abasa is saying it, that you need a team or you need management and what. But the first thing is what identifies you as a Ugandan artist. It is an informal sector, free entry, free exit. So that's how it has been. There is no way we shall develop or have any practical regulations. The things they were talking about, Ugatunes giving us a slot with Uganda Development Bank, it cannot be possible without having all these structures in place. So the structures first are to identify us as creatives. That's when you can break down and say this is an association for film, this is for music, this is for what and what. You must have an identification for the kind of work you're doing, even as a citizen. Most times we think that musicians should be taken, or creative should be taken special besides other sectors. But we are citizens of Uganda, and we are eligible to paying taxes as any other citizen. So why you see that there are people who don't want to invest in the sector, there is a lot of this TVs. Douglas is from a media house. He has no way, NBS has no way of paying artists, because we have not given them a reason that what you're paying us is actually going to the actual beneficiary. Right now, Council, just to inform you, you were saying the split sheets may not work and what and what. The industry has never had split sheets. So it is a culture we are just trying to learn, and we are going to sensitize the artists. So there is a lot to talk about, but to break it down in the interest of time, the structures are very important for us. If we are at the level of a federation, it means that we have associations across the country.
Thank you.
And just a minute, please. We have 25 associations which represent the 19 sub-regions of Uganda. And those are what come to be accommodated under our umbrella, which is called the Federation. So as I close, we start from the Ministry of Gender, the alignment of the industry. Then you come down to the Uganda National Culture Center, or what we call the National Theatre, which accommodates all property of the industry. Then from there, in policy, we are supposed to have the National Culture Forum. Then the National Culture Forum is supposed to accommodate or pass regulations or be an overseer of federations and associations. Then from NCF, you come to the federation, then you go down to the association, then you go down to the major label, then you go down to the record labels, you go down to the studios, then to the artists. So it is a lot that we need to learn and address ourselves to, but in this short time, that's what I could say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raf, for that extensive analysis. Let me go to council. Council, we had a heated argument around the copyright management system. The other day I was hosting Dr. Hildeman, and he was mentioning that that should have been the last on the things that should have been given to the creative arts sector. Are you in sync with him? Do we need the law first, or we should appreciate what we have been given at the moment?
Well, it's a bit tricky. It's a delicate balance, actually, because first of all, amendment of what we had as a Copyright Act has been long overdue. 2006, there was a lot not in place compared to what we have now. So now the question remains, now what amendments do we need? First of all, you want the musicians, the artists, and whoever is in the art business generally to benefit from what they do. Secondly, how do we achieve this? It's what laws we bring in place. Just like I said earlier, I've read that law exhaustively, and I still believe there is room for improvement. I'll give you an example. Just 2 months ago, the Central Bank, Bank of Uganda, released what they called a consultative paper on the central bank digital currencies. All over the continent, Africa, one of the reasons big tech companies like Meta, among others, has been giving for not monetizing content here. Say you uploaded anything on Facebook, elsewhere they pay for that. But here and in other African countries, they don't. First of all, they say, our market isn't valuable. The other thing, our currency is so, like it over fluctuates, it isn't stable. How do you solve that? That's where the digital currencies come in. And when Bank of Uganda took this on, it was a very welcome thing, and they rolled out that consultative paper to hear from all stakeholders. I'll assure you for a fact, I reached out to National Culture Forum myself, because apparently they are the apex body taking all artists, asking them, actually made a proper presentation to them, showing them how this could boost the payment infrastructure for artists. And I was trying to pitch it to them that maybe we could reach out to the bank and tell them how it could work for us and how we would want it to work. But to this date, just as of yesterday, the last I checked, apparently they needed a budget to give in their input. So that is at that. Now, I wonder, there is that act in place. Yes, you're going to collect the money, but then how do you distribute it? It remains a loophole, a big one at that. Because you don't want a situation where you're going to collect billions of dollars or shillings. Then the other fight we are going to have just after this is, say I'm any artist in the room. I'm not getting my money, simply because there is no payment infrastructure. So I would advise, first of all, that the people behind the act, I applaud your efforts. It's a great job behind it. But then you should consider such things as well, the payment infrastructure. Digital currencies is, I should call it a silver bullet. It's going to solve all that. And not just here, but even globally. Just like I said, Meta and all its friends, whoever, that's their complaint about our market. The other thing, Douglas, to answer your question, we need the law, but before the law, or maybe we need a better law than what they are bringing. But yes, we need it.
Thank you so
then
much.
Just to conclude, Ugatunes, it's a very interesting thing, I must say. But then to the team, first of all, thank you. It's such a bright idea. But then you also have a big role to play now. Because I'll ask any of us in the building a question. A question. You realize Uganda, Spotify individual subscription per month is 10,000. In the US, it's about $11 US. It's not by mistake that someone here pays 10K, and in the US, in our Ugandan currency, they're paying 30,000. Where this comes from, it comes from the agreements you, the distributor, has with those people at Spotify or wherever. I'll assure you, artists in the US have crazy agreements. Crazy in the sense that they ask for a lot. Or let me put it this way, they ask for their worth. So Ugatunes, if I give you my music as a Ugandan artist, I don't expect bare minimum. You should be in position to negotiate very good deals with Spotify and wherever you're taking that music. I know it's a delicate balance because you still want Spotify to be affordable here, but then the artist should as well benefit. The 10K works for us, the consumers, it's cheap. But then the artist isn't getting his worth. I don't know if I'm driving the point home. So what Ugatunes does in this scenario is for them to negotiate better deals with all those streaming sites. We've had Tunco and all those others, but they're not Ugandan, so they can't relate to what our troubles are. Now, getting Ugatunes, first of all, it's welcome, but then I would request that they do a better job than what we had before them. Thank you, Douglas.
Thank you so much. I'll go to Abasa. Abasa, why is it that we don't have music business as a course in most of the learning institutions in this country, and yet we seem to have a huge number of creatives, artists, springing up day by day, but they don't have like a particular place for them to go and learn these skills, how to manage their digital distribution, and all other skills?
I think it takes a bit to be able to invest in the creative sectors. There are not so many schools that are teaching the arts. I mean, there are people who are teaching like visual arts, but if you come to things like video, animation, you'll find 2 schools in the entire country. And personally, I believe it's a cultural issue because we culturally have not looked at the arts as a career that makes sense. Most of the careers that make sense are either a lawyer, engineer. And so to come up and say, I want to be an artist and I want to actually study, the assumption is you come when you know how to sing, right? Or you come when you know how to, I don't know, sing and sell the music as well. So to be able to invest in that, for a school to be able to advertise the course, develop a curriculum, hire faculty to teach. There are not as many educated on the African industry. You'll find a lot of people who are educated on the West. And to answer what you were saying, Council, the issues with the Spotify and all these streamers are issues that are all over the globe. It's not just Uganda. Even $10 is not enough for artists to earn. And as we are paying $3, we're under $3. So it's a general issue that everybody is discussing. But people who are trained on the West are not trained on issues that are applicable locally. So we are not able to find local solutions, a local curriculum. We also don't like sharing. That's one of the things I don't understand about our country, but we are just like, I won't tell anybody what I know because I really want to make it on my own. So you might look around for teachers or faculty, but you'll fail to find people who are willing to give you the secrets and be like, this is actually how you pitch for a playlist, or this is how you sign a contract. So I feel like those are the main issues that I find.
Okay, I'll pass the mic to Engineer Susan. Engineer Susan, how is Uganda Communications Commission helping us with fast-tracking the copyright law? Ngali uludde yeteeka. Buli gwe tusanga nti kati wetubuuza eteeka.
Era awo nkutte bulungi kubanga yes, I work with the commission. Naye etteeka eryo, I don't want to speak much about it. Our legal team is in a better position. So just allow me not to really say much about it. But I'll take the feedback and ask them to babuuze etteeka nga ligaaniddeyo gye liri. But I'll ask, are you comfortable? Because I heard the lawyer say there are things lacking. If you've been given the opportunity to input, please make sure you do a good law. Because reviewing it will take time. Otherwise, tujagiteekayo, then like kino baakirekayo. But we bababuuza okwogera ebintu ebyo mwabyogera basobola obiteekayo. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Babyogera, I can confirm, because there were consultative meetings across the nation, and people input their voices as creatives. Lwakuba liruddeyo. Your management system wagitegedde so gitumenyeramu oba n'ekyo nakyo tukireke. Copyright management system.
No. Era tukireke. I'm an engineer. The lawyers can do that, but I don't know how feedback we munagifuna. But at least we can get feedback from them. Nebatunyonyola bulungi so that kitegerekeka.
What I gather is the creatives received it, but they don't understand what they received. So somebody needs to break it down in the most simplest sense for it to make sense to the creatives.
Okay, at least feedback njifunye, and I think the commission can organize a stakeholder engagement negezaako okuliteeka mu simpler language abantu bategeere ki ekyo kye bagenda okufuna. I'll try to do that and see how we can get back to the stakeholders.
Kale, thank you so much, Engineer Abasa. lawyer waffe omulungi Barbara ne Conrad for this panel discussion. We can always continue these conversations on our social media platforms. If you have an X, if you have a TikTok, or any of those platforms, always speak up. Pardon? Okay, just in conclusion, please.
Yes, I just want to clarify with Madam. Do we accept it? Consultations were done exclusively. It's unfortunate that council you seem to have come later. I didn't want to mention, but I'm the industry entertainment lawyer. I'm an artist and still a lawyer. So everyone in the house, please, before anything else, munetegereze bulungi nnyo. I am giving free services, these legal services pro bono. But also to ask council about the payable structure, the payment structure that you were saying. This system, I please pass the mic to her after me. She's really, yeah.
Okay.
So this system is an entire system. It covers a lot of things. But let me just inform you these 4 things. In the issues of artists' money, it is only, the law is clear. It is only the CMO that is mandated, which is UPRS. It is the only one that collects and distributes. So there is something that we took out of the law, or government took out, that is called private copy levy, that was supposed to get taxes off every gadget that comes in the country or from the factory. That was removed out because we couldn't start from the top before even handling these small monies. Otherwise, there's a lot of money that comes out of there. So the collection and distribution is the CMO. Then there is going to be what they call licensing, that people have to have licenses to use Ugandan music. That is going to be a job of either UCC or UPRS still. That is why the law has delayed, because there are those things that we had to clarify. Then thirdly, there is what they call monitoring. The monitoring system has been very expensive. You heard Rinex saying they are going to put chips in all places that use music. That is going to be a responsibility of UCC. I beg to be corrected. Then lastly, there is something called registrations. Registrations are going to be done by URSB. It's the one that is mandated to do all registrations in the country. So, registering your copyright, URSB. Licensing, UCC. All these bodies are going to work in unison. So there is a lot to learn. Copyright is a very broad topic. In Kenya, what they did, they set up a different institution to run copyright alone. So maybe that's also an argument we can have here in the country. Thank you, Douglas.
Thank you. Let me just pick 2, 3 feedbacks from the audience. Yes, please.
Hi. I just wanted to address him and the lady from UCC. I love what you guys talked about, but I was one of the consultants on the draft national culture policy last year, and we were reviewing it, and we also had a stakeholder engagement. And we realized that there's such a very scattered mandate within the country. UCC controls just a very tiny sector of the creative sector, and Ministry of Gender controls most of it. But even in all your talking, I did not hear you mention Ministry of Gender, because they have the last say in all of this. So if you guys keep moving and then Ministry of Gender just wakes up one day and says, what are you guys doing? We're not part of this, then what will happen? But anyway, what you're saying is amazing, it's empowering, but yeah, if we're going to make this very political, how come you've not included the guys who actually hold the mandate?
The question was going to?
The question was going to them, and as you're answering, it goes back to the same thing I was saying in the first time, was, are you just focusing on the musicians so that you tell us, we understand the rest of the creatives, we find another avenue?
All right. Let me take the 3 questions and we answer all of them at once.
Thank you. Semju Isma. I'm a sound recordist and a film producer. My request goes to UCC, and it's true, not all departments were really included in the consultations. Music was at the forefront because truth is, they have the loud voice, and they were able to associate earlier, which isn't the case with other, let's say, movie producers and so on, actors and so on. So many issues were left out. They are not captured in that law. I took time and read through that law, and it's a few things are not really captured. My request is, can we get like proper subsidies? Because fact is, we've lost quite a number of potential productions in Uganda because the policy doesn't support the investors. The biggest percentage of Queen of Katwe was shot from South Africa. Why? Because they have tax holidays. It's a Ugandan story, but the biggest percentage was shot from South Africa. The policies are not favoring that. So if we have something that is really favoring the investors, that would be really beautiful. My last remark goes to fellow creatives. Let's be open and break the ego to be able to unlearn what we already think that is right and learn how the system really operates. Because whether you want to accept or not, we need to respect the contracts, we need to respect how the systems operate. And we are all locked into that body of like, we won't accept. Let's open up and be able to receive the new information. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One person at the back. Yes, Alan. 1G7. Okkirizibwa ssebo. Okay, I'll take one.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. And thank you to everyone for coming through. Yes, mine is a clarification. And of course, I am happen to represent UPRS. So I have a bit of inside information that I thought it would be important to clarify. I think I've not been on the board long, so a lot of things we're just figuring out what has been going on. And I want to highlight two things. One, a lot of the money that UPRS collects has been going to administrative costs and taxes to URA. The biggest percentage of UPRS collections have been going to administrative costs and taxes.
Mu Luganda agambye sente nnyingi nnyo UPRS zebadde kuŋŋaanya zibadde zigenda kubeezaawo ofiisi, kusasula abakozi, yaka, amazzi, kugula kompyuta, naye ne portion endala n'egenda mu misolo.
Word. Now, it's not a question. First, relax. Now, so of course that presented a problem for us, because that means the whole purpose of the CMO being there is to pay artists their royalties. But if most of the money is going to some other things, then it brings into question, what's the point? Of course, then we realized there was an issue of compliance. A lot of people who are supposed to be paying money for UPRS are not willing to comply. So the collections are so much, because the administrative costs are constant. Those ones are constant. URA, that's a constant. So all we can do is try to increase the collections. But compliance cannot happen without cooperation from UCC, URA, and blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm sure you guys have all seen this presidential, the copyright thing that, came out. And the gist of that was that the president believed that without equitable distribution, what do I mean by equitable? Money was being distributed on an equal basis. If we are all members of UPRS and we have collected 50 million, but Daddy Andre has been having 5 hit songs last year, Al Antonio Lasada hit song 10 years ago, they would get exactly the same amount of money. What would that cause? When you would give Daddy Andre 50K, after he has had his hit songs, he would go mad and say, yo, I've been working myself crazy and you're giving me 50K. But the issue was, everybody's getting the same. Relax. So, This was highlighted. So the recent initiative from the president to do those monitoring things that you had them talking about in conjunction with the UCC engineers was to address that issue that buli omu afune kyakoledde. So meaning ebya everyone gets the same bija kwanga tebikyaliwo. So if $1 million has been collected, abadde afulumya ennyimba nga training agenda kufunamu. Abadde tafulumya ennyimba nga yasembayo 5 years ago ne baba nga ali member era ajja kufuna katono. Equitable. But that solves the basis problem. But yet again, people don't want to pay because people are used to consume music for free. Omuntu amaze emyaka 2 nga akosa bya bwerere. Pojja n'omugamba kati byakyuse sasula gamba kikyo ngamba. So this is where UCC URA comes in. Because they have to enforce this not as an optional thing. Because this is a product where artists, producers, songwriters, remember all these people are represented by UPRS. Ne songwriter no kusasibwa by UPRS, ne producer no kusasibwa by UPRS. All those people. But they come up with the amanyi essente. Ne bakola ebintu. So we need not only to inform people that you have to pay for a product because people invest money, time and effort in it, but we also need UCC, URA, and these other government agencies to make it clear that this is not an optional thing where you pay if you want, if you don't want, you don't pay. And I want to highlight those who have been saying, tugenda kuzanyiza aba Nigeria, mbasasidde. We have what we call reciprocal agreements between CMOs of one country to another. Aba Nigeria sente zaabwe bazaagala bazitubanja bulijjo. They say CMO ya Uganda eri week tetuwa sente. They send emails. Never Chris Brown, their record labels, their CMOs, BMI, ASCAP. They say us we collect and we give you for and raise music in wherever. Also you collect in your country for Chris Brown and give us. What does that mean? The only way you will escape is if you don't play music at all.
So I'm sorry, let me answer,
Okay,
my brother.
go ahead.
For the money, zebaleta ne bawa UPRS biki ezo. Temuzitunuulira kubasiza mmwe. Why? Imwe, you don't want to submit in your work. You want the songs themselves to go and submit in the UPRS, you get database. But now, that's why I said if we get management, these things will be done automatically by the team. So, abayimbi, if you are part of UPRS, submit. You have hit songs, yes, but did you submit to the collecting byakola bitya? Bode. So, ziri sente zibajja ne babawa nti tuwadde UPRS akasente. I think the siri mu UPRS era sikolayo, but this is just a wisdom, like okiraba nti zino sente za UPRS nti for it's a project nti no tubambi bana abantu bakola naye waka lwakuba tatuukiridde tebafuna sente mu mulimu gwe bakola ate nga bode eri mu government babaswala. They have to cater ebintu byonna ebiba bibulamu era ne office yasooka ya UPRS yali mbi yakalika office nga kabi. So right now they've just gotten a serious office. Lwaki mmwe bennyini bakama babali abantu UPRS, you don't want to submit in the songs ate nga muli bayimbi bangi. How can you submit in a song ku TikTok nga chaliwo ono wanewe Uganda tomwadde mulimu? Let us share ourselves jobs. Let us do the opportunities. Let us give them to our fellow Ugandans. So the Chris Brown neba mobba okitegeera. Chris Brown tulina mobba kuba naffe batubba. Why? Because view oba play eri Bulaaya naffe batusalako sente bajja ku mateeka gaano okitegeera. So naffe batukuba babayaye sebo. Me I'm telling you, and you know the truth. So submit in UPRS buli kimu kijja kugwa. I think UCC technically it has its own job nayo etereze ebintu byayo, but mwe mukole emirimu submitting in so mufune management abatasobola bifuna. Yeah, I think that's okay. Temwekutula.
Thank you so much, Andre. Thank you so much. Lastly,
abanaye mwebale nnyo maze okulaba buli muntu ali wano mugezi era tulowooza nnyo naye nze atalowooza nnyina ekirowoozo kino era nakibuuzaako neŋŋamba nti lwaki Uganda bwe tutuuka ku copyright ya music tulaga ekintu kino nti kizibu nnyo mu nsi endala ng'ate kikola. So ekirowoozo kyange kiikino, olaba system ekolokitinga tugeze nti URA gyekozesa mu nsi yonna mu nsi endala egireeta n'egikozesa wano neekola. Kati waliwo abasajja nga James Proper batambuddeko balina research Douglas, tetusobola kujjayo system ya Nigeria ne bajja ne bagidiscussinga wano weekola ne tukola copy and paste ekintu ne kikola. Ne wano tubanga abayiye ekyaffe buli we twogera tulaba ekintu kizibu tekisoboka. Bannange mubanga abagamba nti copyright Uganda yo yanjawulo nnyo system tesobola okukola ate mu nsi endala kikola. Mu nsi endala bakola batya?
So tulina kye bayita etteeka oba amateeka agatwala amateeka. Okitegedde, according to the region, naawe olina apps z'oggulawo ne bakugamba nti mu nsi yammwe tokkirizibwa kukozesa ki app eyo. Ekintu kye bayita omusolo kintu kinene nnyo. Mwe mulowooza nti nno abakofi be bokka balina okusasula omusolo. These are all commodities that we are playing with. Even apps is a business. Kibala nabagambye yenna ng'oli muyimbi ebintu bino nga toli technically ready to face these problems because bijja basumbuwa. Let us ask ourselves, ng'omanyi nti oli gundi abimanyiiko. Nze nnyinza okuba mbyogera naye sijja bikuyamba because I'm not technically operator for that. Naye oyinza okwesanga bashadrack ababimanyi. Buuza bano abantu abakola Ugatunes apps abali awo babimanyi kati abo kuba balina such businesses. Then etteeka gye liri eritwala amateeka. Kati nga olaba nti tulina UPRS basayininga oyi yajja ne bakanya ne gavumenti nti UPRS yokka yebeekola ki yebeekolekitinga. Kiba kitegeeza yatomeza dda gavumenti. Kati eryo etteeka olwedde baali sayininga paka contracting eweddeko awo tulyoke tuzukuke tudde bujja. Kati ebintu ebimu eby'amateeka tubinyumyeko naye tulowooze kisoboka. Let us first change our structure model of work. Bano abantu tebajja kuddamu frontinga muyimbi atamanyi technical work, bajja kuyita ba producer, bajja kuyita bano aba app biki, because it's still private sector gye tuliko, because ffenna tulina okufunamu. Naye tulekerawo okwerimba nti ffe twafuuse ba gavumenti nga ffe gavumenti. This is still private sector. Let us just let the technical people do their job. Abatasobola temujja na mu meeting bweziti kuba mujja tulumya emitwe. Mbalabye nnyo, and this is the reason why tubadde tukayananga nnyo myaka ku myaka because people who don't know these kind of things mwe bali bangi ate kati ffe batuyita abalalu. Kati ndowooza temujja nga toli technically ready to operate.
Thank you so much. Nga tumaliriza kantandikire ku UCC. Tumaliriza mangu.
Thank you. Babuziza ku bwe tukolagana ne Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. We have different mandates but cut across. At times tubanga ekintu ffe tusobola okubayamba naye nga kiri waabwe. So basically we have collaborations, I would call them. But of recent, we were actually trying to sign an MOU until we were advised recently a directive yavayo, government bodies can't sign MOUs. We were trying to identify all those different areas which we work on and yet they are fully under maybe their mandate. Because we collaborate as government agencies to remove duplications. Because if we can do it better than them, we can support them. Usually we work together. So we really work with the Ministry of Gender. And those collaborations are there. But probably because platform Tiabade Yakwogela, there's so many of them. That's why I didn't go into that detail. Then wabuziza neku creative content, creative art. I will ask Shadrach to come and respond to that. Because as the commission, when we're supporting them, and as you see the title, it's about creative content. So this taking one direction, probably he has a plan for the others as well. So he's in a better position to explain that. But for us, we looked at creative content, not only one part of that sector. Then the gentleman talked about how they had missed, the document is missing again some sections on creative art. Again, it seems to be skewed towards the artists only. I'll take back that, that feedback and see what can be done. Then also the policy is not favoring investors. Somebody else, I think, talked about it during the first panel as well, to see how innovatively can we come in to see that also in this sector, the investors can see how then can they enjoy any holidays that come with that. I think that's all, but just generally, we also need to think about ethics as we do all this. I think Shadrach also missed that. I think some uploads can't go up based on the content that is there. Even just a single word can make your content not go up. So probably during the scaling he's going to do around, he needs to hint on some of those things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if Abbas, you have any comments on any of the questions, or if not.
I think there was an interesting discussion between Andre and Alan. Yeah, I think we all understand. Not we all understand. If we all understood how the things work, a lot of the challenges that we are facing. The gentleman said, "Why is it that other countries work?" And yet we are using the same laws. It's not that the law that we are talking about is different. It's that we don't know. The fact that we don't understand what this system is, and I'm just going to try and break that system down because I assume it's just a bunch of speakers in malls and bars and hotels, if I'm not mistaken, right? The copyright management system. And those systems do exist. There are several companies like BMAT or like any other company that just monitors. Even Songboost does the same technology. They just get a song and then water or fingerprint it, and then they're able to track where it's played. I feel like we are long overdue, and I'm grateful that someone's thinking about that. But either way, artists, we need to understand what does that mean. How Andre talked about uploading your songs to UPRS. No one's talking about metadata because that's how your song is going to get lost and you won't be able to get paid what you're worth. So I believe, another challenge, I feel like with discussions like this, we end up just throwing the problem to someone else. So a lot of people just say like, UCC, this one's way. And yet the Communications Commission is more of a regulator, to be honest, but writing a law is not the UCC's mandate. Writing a law is us contribute. We sit in rooms with federations, with associations, with workers' unions and say, okay, this is what we feel makes sense for us. So I think just go on Google, find out how things work, and then we can have a more productive discussion because then it will just be like, oh yeah, these guys stole my money. Or UPRS has very high admin fees. Globally, UPRS in 2017 had about 60% admin fees. Everybody else is at about 15%. Every other company, whether ASCAP, BMI, these guys had 60% in 2017. They amended it in 2022 and now have 40%, which is still crazy because if you think you get 1 million shillings, 4 million goes to UPRS. They haven't even released a single song. Do you get what I mean? So I think, but I don't blame UPRS for that. I blame us because we don't know. We are not in a position to come and say, okay, this is my money. I did the work. These are my songwriters. These are my split sheets. These are the contracts I signed. We don't understand any of that. We just throw the problem to someone else, either UCC or the federation or my manager. There's also that you get screwed into a very bad contract because you don't really want to understand it yourself. With that long rant, I do believe that platforms like this are very essential, and I'm really grateful for the guys from Ugatunes because they're going to go educating everybody. It's one of the biggest challenges we have in our industry. We don't know. And the fact that we don't know means so many people are going to screw us, and so many people are just going to take advantage of the things that we don't know and assume that things are better in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Council, as we wrap up.
Well, thank you. Just as a parting shot, a lot has been said, and I understand we got to the point where we were speaking out of sentiment, but I would advise all the artists in here and wherever, let's put in the work, do the music, get the right manager, hire a lawyer as well. because you don't want to fight for all this. Then when it starts working, to inner content, go again. So while we are doing all this, do your work, go to studio, record the music, and while at it, get the right management, hire a lawyer. In the long run, it will pay. Trust me. Thank you.
Barbara, as we wrap up.
Yes. First, I would like to applaud Shadrach and the Ugatunes team. Thank you for this. Yeah, I think we should. And Douglas, you've done a very amazing job.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just to respond to Emily, I think you had stepped out, but when I was starting with the industry structure, I began with the Ministry of Gender. That's the apex body. Then secondly, this issue of why music, why music? We are missing out a point. The fastest and cheapest medium of communication is what? Is music. Yes, fastest and cheapest is music. So even the argument actually should be on audio-visual, because it's hard. When copyright comes to an infringed film, don't think they are going to look at image rights first. No, the infringements are usually with the audio. So let us not think there is a clashing point or what. We just need to work together. It is a value chain to make something a creative work. So we need each other. Then lastly, why it has taken long still, government works in 5 steps. There is preparation, planning, procedures, processes, and practice. So I should guarantee the people in this room that we are now at the level of practice. We have passed the processes and we are getting to the practicing part. Then as I leave the mic, someone said, I think that DeAndre, that there is one CMO. No, a clarity. There is a CMO UPRS for music. There is a CMO UFMI, I think, for film. And then there is a CMO for book writers. Thank you. We shall continue the conversation.
Lastly, Conrad.
Thanks to UCC, Ugatunes, all development partners, and Douglas for the wonderful event. Mine is just a prayer to UCC and Ugatunes. I urge you to prioritize film and theater in your digital distribution framework, because we are feeling like as if we are being left out, to be honest. There is not enough efforts that are being put in film and theater. Muninga bebasulawo. Tulinga bebasulawo rather. So tubasaba busabi mutulowoozeeko nnyo basebo ne bannyabo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mwena from Engineer Susan, Conrad, Gilbert, Abasa, and then Barbara. Wanji, omaze okunywa ku kyayi. Kale no bati tugalirewo olukungaana luno n'ebirowoozo.
Sebo ne mupiira wabamu extra time. Eddakiika 5 sebo sobola okwawuliramu goolo 2. Amanya nze Nobert Events Generation Promoter. Kampala kyenjikola. Nze ne bwe nkoma meyinga 2 nina omega 256. So nange najja n'ebyange naye mu byempulidde mwogera awo nzizeero eti nnyonyi n'ensuulaawo n'enninnya ka boda mangu. Naye mu byempulidde mwogedda ndabye mugezaako kutiisatiisa. Simanya you do the content. Simanyanga muyimbe nedda. Ekigambo copyright nze nga bwe nakitegeeramu nze omanyi ndi presentinga bali abantu ba wansi. Nti mwana watulo yasobola n'okuba n'oluyimba lumu ne lumugaggawaza obulamu bwe bwonna. Ekyokulabirako kyenjagala obbawa kyekya eyali mukwano gwange Palaso kati nga mulabe wange nnyo. Manyi nnyo ndi omukiga ngamba mazima. Palaso alina oluyimba lwa happy birthday. Ne kasirwa alukozesa ku birthday. Kati naye ng'omugamba nti ate yimba nnyo singa kati y'omu ku basinga okuyingiza ssente kwolwo oluyimba. Pozi ensonga esinga obukulu ku lwaki nsabye omuzindalo aba UPRS kino mukitegekedde boogera luzungu ng'ate biggest consumer waffe y'oli omuntu waffe owa bulijjo wa wansi. Okitegedde sewo Mr. Deo twagalayo n'oli omuntu bino ebintu bikati bive mu conference room zammwe bino feno watukwasa n'ebbugumu tutya nayo. Twagala eri omuntu wa wansi ategeere kiki kye mukoze eki kye muleeta kati ye message yange gyebadde nkuweereza. Gwe atalina kyotegedde mu bye mbadde njogera gw'omanyi nkomyawo.
Webale nnyo.
Sebu nva Kannungu. Naabe Kannungu nabo kabeeyagale.
webale nnyo Norbert, webalire ddala. Waliwo omwami aŋŋambye twamisinze ekigambo kya taxation. So let's pass the mic so that we capture that.
Thank you so much, the organizers, Ugatunes and UCC. My name is Andrew, and I'm from URA. I would like to have listened in the conversation from the start, and it is a very interesting discussion. Here I have been able to identify two persons. Those are the content creators and the content distributors. And certainly the audience has so many others, the promoters and the musicians, the artists themselves. But in my view, what I would love to advise the sector is that let us ensure that we embrace what we call formalization. Most of us here, the panelists, have been highlighting so much relating to formalization. And that is something that with URA that we need to see and embrace. One of my colleagues has said that Balabe Bafe. But I would like to tell you one thing, that when we interrogate most of these tax issues, I will still go back to one of the consultants, and certainly Daddy Andre, that I think we also need to exhibit the elements of professionalism, where you would seek to have tax services. It does not hurt to have a tax consultant. But for us as URA, I think we are committed. One thing that I'm learning from this, I don't know whether we can have a further discussion with Ugatunes. We can have also some of our information shared with you. But you know, the more you invest yourself to learn about taxes, I'll give you an example. We have people here who have made supplies, services, and they have been withheld from. So many times, whenever you make a service, they charge you 6%, 6%. But most of us do not know that that is the tax that is paid in advance. So you end up saying that whenever I go, I'm charged a certain tax, but you have not formalized enough to ensure that you can be in a position to claim. Because most of the times we are charged tax in excess. But for us as the taxpayers, what is at the forefront for us to ensure that we practice good formal tax practices. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would invite you, as I conclude, that let us formalize. It does not hurt to have a team. I've had Ugatunes. You need to understand where do you pay your taxes from, so that when they withhold from you before they make a payment, you can be able to come to URA that URA, look, when Ugatune was paying me, they withheld 6%. They paid a part of my tax. So before we discuss the 1 million you are telling me to pay, let us first look at the 100,000 that URA took prior to all this discussion. So that at the end of the day, you are paying 900,000 instead of the 1 million. So those are some of the good things that come with the formalization. And I would love to thank Ugatunes and all the players. When I looked in this room, I have seen so many tax compliant persons. On one platform, I'll speak about Douglas. He's one of the highly tax compliant persons in this room. And Douglas, we thank you for that. But I also invite other persons in the sector. Let us not, for me, I usually tell people that the more you come close to URA, the less taxes that you pay. I have seen so many people who import. They import and you are charged VAT. But the service or supply that you are importing, you are not the final user. So how in that case do you have to pay VAT 18%? Because it is me who is going to consume the music. It is me who will pay the VAT. So that means that a distributor, you are suffering that tax incidence because you have failed to formalize. I usually do a lot of YouTube, and I have watched you before on a certain area. And you have given a very good insight ebintu byogera related to the industry, I have learned a lot from that. Yeah? I have watched you in certain YouTube, Nobert events. I think you are with some media person. And I love the passion obwagazi bw'olina mu sector. N'abala bangi nnyo. Naye tulina okuembracinga ekintu kye bayita okweyanjula mu butongole, formalization. Tekyehatinga register your business, then receive a TIN, register with these institutions. Someone was talking about incentives. If there is any incentive any player in the music industry must enjoy, trust me, it will not be given to you if the regulator in the sector has not registered you. Let me assume that it is UPS. If you are not a member in UPS, you will not get that tax incentive, trust me. And that goes back to what most of us have been saying. Embrace, accept the new changes, the environment. Coming to the digital economy, I think the players within that area, you need to embrace yourselves with the digital service tax, which I think is 5%. But that is charged on the income that is earned from us, the local users, by the other multi-internationals. So we need to segment. Someone was talking about where your residency is. So Spotify and there's so many others, those are non-resident companies. And they are mandated to pay 5% on the income they receive from us, the users, the consumers. And then for you, a local person, what do you need to do? You just tell us that, okay, look, URA, this is the much money I have gotten from the distribution of the content. But I have also spent this much to earn this income. And once you declare all that, we look at, okay, what is the income have you? What income have you earned out of this? So funye sente meka. Chitufu mukusasanya music nfunye kino. Na ye nsasanyiza kino okufuna sente ezo. Kyosasanyiza, and this happens ku bantu bonna abatandika. Kyosasanyiza bwe kibanga kingi okusinza ku kyoyingiza. Awo tewaba musolo gwa kusasula. Era mu kaseera ako ne gwe wasasula emabega olina okugutubanja. Naye kasita otulaga nti nno bino byenfunye nsaasaanyiza kino kituufu nsigazzaawo akasente weekati. Bw'obanga weewandiisa nga kampani bajja kuggyako 30% of that profit. Bw'obanga oli individual tugamba gwe ke sente z'ofunye zisusse miliyoni 2,882 nti yes, tutunuulire ekyo ekisusseemu. Kampani yo bw'ekola losses tugiteteeganya. Gwe individual n'amagoba g'okoze gayina okubaako we gasusse okulaba nti nno tukukyajinga omusolo gw'oteekeddwa okusasula. Nga nsembayo omusolo guno gw'osasula ogusasula mu bitundutundu. We have the natural installment plan. Nze ng'omuntu sekinnoomu nina ebitundu 4. Nti gavumenti eŋŋambye nti sasula $5,000. Omusolo gwo ngusasula mu bitundutundu 4. Nensasula ya 25, nenzirayo nenkola emyezi 3, nensasula 25, nenzirayo nenkola emyezi emirala 3, paka sente ezo ezigwayo mu bitundutundu. Naye ate ekyessanyu kiri nti n'ebyo ebitundutundu etteeka bye likuwa bw'obanga tosobodde kubituukiriza, still you come to the URA office n'ogamba omanyi kituufu nyina osasula akakadde. Kwote eno nabadde nyina osasula $25,000 naye teziriiwo. Ne tuteesa nti kale oyinawo mmeka? Nti anyinawe 10. Nti zino ozisuubira ddi? Nti mu kaseera bwe kati. Nti kale tugende wansi ku lupapula. Commit yourself because we need to see that commitment come in. So abantu bange mweno sector, the entertainment sector, nga URA, I think we have penetrated in so many other sectors, but we are embracing now the sector-based approach. Recently, those that are privy to what we do, we have engaged so many players in the sector. But also the information, the content, katina nkanjogerenga content creator. Content naffe gwe tukola, tugezaako okulaba nti bwe tumufulumya ayogera ne bantu be tumuweereza nti bw'aba musician njagala mpereze content owa music. Era mu kaseera akajjaawo tujja kubasaba nti bwe tuweereza abantu baffe gye muli mubakkirize bakole nammwe bategeere bizinensi yammwe so that omuntu ajja mu industry si ye muntu ajja nga tamanyi nze nasoma business accounting and finance naye siina butendeke bumala mu industry ya music entertainment industry neetaaga okubeerako nammwe okulaba nti njiga ebintu bwe bitambula challenges ki buzibu ki obuliwo so that at the end of the day we can be able to serve you better as an institution, and at the end of the day we develop our country together. Thank you so much for God and my country.
Yerabidde ffe banno. Thank you so much, URA. Our panelists, mwebale nnyo. Everybody are contributing. Ugatunes, thank you so much for organizing this. Uganda Communications Commission, Ministry of ICT, Microfinance Support Center, UCASAF. That is Uganda Communications Universal Service and Access Fund, Afromobile, and Uganda Revenue Authority. Until then, mwebale nnyo mwebale ddala. Have a blessed evening.
Abantu batangaze twagala mafuta.